I'm Pugs Moran, and I do this, we do it what? We do it every Monday through, you know what? Let me restart. I don't have my blanket in place. Oh, goodness. And you know what? Byron, you haven't even said anything yet. Byron in the chat room. Let me ask you this, Byron. Would you rather the show be 10 minutes late starting? Because I found some really awesome stuff that we could talk about that would, maybe extend the show 30 minutes. I mean, isn't that worth it? I mean, if we're all enjoying our time together, that's the only reason that we ever run a few minutes late off the start. I know it's high noon, the show, and I know that it's actually 12:09 at the moment, but if I find something at 5 minutes before noon and I'm like, oh shit, this could be fun. I need to read this. And then I start reading. So my apologies. I do apologize. Hold on. I'm also having a weird thing with my earbuds. Because they're in the wrong ears. Okay, that'll work. That'll explain it. I'm not going crazy. See, I was late. Hey, did you guys hear Pillow Talk last night? Pillow Talk is it's the second stream that we do here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. We had Dan O'Malley on last night. Dan O'Malley was awesome. Dan O'Malley from Live 105.3, from the Eagle, the Russ Martin show, all those years. Dan spent a good, I think we did an extended show last night on Pillow Talk with Pugs and Parker. Tonight, I believe we're having Jasmine. I'm just going to throw that out there now. She was in the chat room and she said, I'm coming tomorrow. And I said, you better be on. And so we'll see. I'll be confirming that later this afternoon. But those shows are becoming fun. And I do understand. I get for some of you who are not coming to these shows as people familiar with what that radio station was. But for a very small group of us, these are kind of fun little reunion shows. So bear with us. All right, should we get started? All right, let's get started. Welcome to the High Noon Show, where we aimlessly paddle down this stream of consciousness in search of a village called common sense. How's that? Hey, that's good. That was off the top of my head, man. Pull up a beanbag chair in our chat room. There's plenty of room. Your comments are always encouraged, although not always tolerated. Trying to build up my relations with the chat room. I don't want to be adversarial with the chat room. I love my chat room people. Hi, Frank. I do. I love my chat room people. They're like the most loyal people I've ever seen in my life. They're like here every day, a stupid stream show. God. When I become king of the world, you're all getting knighted. That's what I'm trying to say. You're all going to get knighted. All right, what is High Noon? High Noon is a show that we do every day around this time where we like to all get together, talk about all the events of the day. I run down a list of things, everything that's trending. If it's a headline, if it's a hot topic, if it's something people are buzzing about, I'll talk about it. We don't spend too much time on any one subject, and we move on to the next. This is about just giving us what I like to call cocktail party knowledge. A term coined by my former partner, Kelly Moore. Cocktail party knowledge is the ability to be able to go to a cocktail party after dinner and mix from group to group to group, knowing just enough about whatever they might be talking about to not look like an idiot. And then when you exhaust all that you know, maybe it's a sentence or two on the subject of the global banking crisis. After you exhaust that, then you move on to the next group. And then maybe the next group's talking about something else, and you have cocktail party knowledge of that conversation as well. So that's the goal of this show, to get us all cocktail party knowledged up. We're not experts, seriously, and we run out of facts really quick, and that's why we have to move on to the next group. But at the end of the night, everybody at that cocktail party is going to go, you know that Pugs and Company High Noon listener is a pretty bright kid. That's what they'll say. So that's the goal of the show. Now, how do we get there? First, we like to jump back into previously. We like to go back throughout history on this day. It's really about this day, the 22nd day of March, year of our Lord, 2023. It's the 81st day of the year. Did you know that? There are 284 more days left in this particular edition of March the 22nd. So we like to go back previously on March 22nd. And we start out by going through this day's history. We talk about all the things that shaped maybe the way we view this day. I mean, it's not a global holiday, so apparently nothing really big happened. But you know what I mean? There are little historic events that we like to cover. Then we talk about the people who were born on this day, and we discuss them. Not all of them. I mean, that'd be hard. All right, here we go. We're going to talk about everybody born on this day. Ever. No, couldn't do that. The ones that interest me, the ones that stand out, the ones that have some kind of historical significance, we'll mention them. And then also total strays sometimes get mentioned. And that's because I like them. And you don't even have to know them. I don't care. I just like this person. I'm going to talk about them for a little bit. Then we talk about the deaths. We mourn the passings of those who have left this plane of existence on this day. After we do the events of the day, after we do the births and the deaths and all that stuff, and we're like, man, I really feel like I've got a firm grip on what March the 22nd has meant throughout history. Then we move into the day's topics. That's where we get to the headlines, the hot topics, and all that stuff. We run through it. So if you're ready, are you ready to commit at least the next, hour and a half? Yesterday's show went a little bit long. Okay, stop. I don't need. How am I getting a political text? This is not a political show. That's the other thing. We don't do divisive stuff. We try to offer you an option here and things to listen to and hear about and learn about that aren't necessarily dependent upon how you vote come November. So let's get into it, okay? As I said, March the 22nd is the 81st day of the year. That's very exciting. We like to count those down. Why? Because in 284 days, it's New Year's Eve. And some of you aren't going to have plans. So get those New Year's Eve plans started now. Get them early. 284 days. All right, let's see here. Let's go through the history of this day on March 22nd. 1621. Man, we're going all the way back. 1621. The Pilgrims of Plymouth Colony sign a peace treaty with the Massasoit. I think it's pronounced Massasoit. I'm just gonna freeball it here. I'm guessing that's where Massachusetts comes from, I'm guessing. So on this day in 1621, the Pilgrims of Plymouth Colony sign a peace treaty with the Massasoits of the Wampanoags. Massasoits of the Wampanoags. I'm trying to think. Okay, so they had, I guess, Indians didn't have the same. Did Indians speak the same language? Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Oh God, I'm such a stupid American. Could an Indian from Wisconsin have a conversation with an Indian from South Carolina? A Native American? You know what I mean? I've never thought about that. The words are obviously derived. The names here, Massasoit, Wampanoags, those words are obviously derived from a different language, a different speaking language. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. On this day, the Pilgrims of Plymouth Colony sign a peace treaty with the natives. I was like, look at this. Everything's beautiful in 1621. In 1622, on this day, Algonquin Indians kill 347 English settlers around Jamestown, Virginia, a third of the colony's population during the Second Anglo-Powhatan War. So up there in the Plymouth colony, some of the New England area, they're signing peace treaties. Now, a year later, a little bit down below, down in the crazy Jamestown area, Virginia, they're having all-out wars. Yeah. I bet you there's some hotheads running the show down there in Virginia. That's what I'm guessing. That's the reason that turned into an all-out war was because there were some hotheads on both sides. I don't know, hothead settlers, hothead Indian chiefs. I don't know. Apparently cooler heads up there in the New England. 1765, the British Parliament passes the Stamp Act that introduces a tax to be levied directly on its American colonies. Taxation without representation, that's what we said to that. That's how it all started right there, ground zero. Look, you know what? You could probably make a direct correlation between if this doesn't pass in 1765, by the British Parliament, we're not here today. Well, I mean, we're here, but it's like, we're all talking like this probably, yeah. And saying the C word a whole lot more than we're used to. But no, on this day, they passed the Stamp Act, which led to, the Boston Tea Party, which led to the Revolution, which led to the no taxation without led to all that. So here you go. Good job, Parliament. I know in the moment it hurt and it sucked, but ultimately I think it worked out well. Thank you. Appreciate you. In 1894, on this day, the Stanley Cup ice hockey competition is held for the very first time in Montreal, Canada. Stanley Cup, 1894. Okay, that's cool. I'm like, come on, man. You got to have a hockey hot take, right? I'm like, I really don't. On this day in 1934, the first Masters tournament is held at Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia. Masters, 1934. Everybody always talks about, the Masters. It was restrictive. They don't let color it. And I have always been like, it's called the Masters. What? They haven't been. They're like hiding in plain sight. Everybody's, the Masters is a right. It's not anymore. Like Tiger Woods went in there and cleaned everyone's clock. So, but, back in the day, when I'm growing up, I'm like 10 years old, and people are like, well, they need to allow color people. And I'm like, it's called the Masters, man. I mean, they're just like, they're admitting it. Why are they even paying lawyers to fight this stuff in court? The name. I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, right? The name is troubling. The name is really troubling. But anyway, the first Masters. Look at that. I didn't have a hockey hot take, but I got a Masters hot take. That's crazy. Considering I like hockey far more than I like golf. Let's see here. On this day in 1963, the Beatles released their very first album, Please Please Me. Please please me, oh yeah, like I please you. I love the Beatles. You know what the Beatles are? And there's an exception to every rule. And one of my rule of thumbs is anybody who became famous before 1990 didn't really have all that much competition, right? It's like how do you explain Bob Hope? I explain Bob Hope by saying there wasn't a whole lot of competition for those jobs that he took. It was a new industry. People weren't. Anyway, the Beatles are the exception to that. Because, I mean, I think insofar as, they existed in the 60s and all that kind of stuff. But, man, the Beatles maybe broke through because they were, interesting and different and all of that. And there was not a whole lot of, I don't know. They had some competition. But here's my point. Whereas Bob Hope seemed to like who else was going for Bob Hope gigs? I don't know who else was competing with him for that job. Elvis, with all due respect, Elvis. Wasn't a whole lot of white, handsome rock and roll dudes. There wasn't a whole bunch of Elvises out there he was competing with. He got his music played because it sounded like the black music, and he was a white guy. You know what I mean? It was luck. It was a different thing. But the Beatles, man, the Beatles, who may have had very limited, there wasn't a whole lot of rock bands. After like the first two Beatles albums, the Beatles' success created a level of competition for them that was probably hasn't been seen in music since. So you can like the Beatles or not like the Beatles. That's fine. That's a personal choice. But I'm not talking about them like, oh, they play the best music ever. I'm talking about their impact and why they're the most important band of all time. I mean, first of all, every one of their albums is great, right? And you have to understand that they inspired thousands and thousands of other people, contemporaries, guys that were playing jazz, guys that were playing blues, guys that were real artists, to just form bands and start competing with them. And despite that, their albums got better. And despite the fact that every single album that was made, every single one, every album, if you were making a rock and roll album between 1963 and 1970, the producer was like, we got to make it better than the Beatles. Everybody was gunning for them. Man. So, whereas, a lot of people succeed, Bob Hope, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, just because there's not a whole lot of competition for it back then. Marilyn Monroe, who else was a bomb? The bombshell thing was new. She was like the first one, and they went, hey, let's create this. You know what I mean? Anyway, the Beatles are an exception to that rule, because the Beatles did exist in a time when I don't think there was a whole lot of competition to be the big boy band, but then they became the big boy band, and that spurred on a level of competition for them that they didn't crumble to. They didn't crumble to. I mean, you can debate, well, you know, the Stones had some great... Yeah, they did. The Stones are the greatest. Stones are the greatest rock and roll band in the history of rock and roll. Nobody could take that away from the Rolling Stones. But I think the Beatles are probably the most important musical act of the last century. All right, we'll move on. And Please Please Me was released on this day in 1963. In 1972, on this day, the United States Congress sends the Equal Rights Amendment to the states for ratification. Okay, I have to... I don't really know much about the Equal Rights Amendment, other than the fact that when I was a very little kid, very little, actually from the time I was very little, I knew it was a thing. I knew, right? Like if you were a little kid in the 1970s, you know, you sitting in front of the TV watching the old people news because it's the only thing that was on because there was only 3 channels. You were exposed to like, today in Washington, the Equal Rights Amendment protester. You know, you were exposed to that. But I didn't have a firm grasp of what it meant because I was raised by a single mom. And the concept that women weren't equal to my little 6-year-old brain was absurd. It was ridiculous. I'm 6 years old and I'm like, what do you mean women don't have rights? My mom's got all the rights. She tells me when to go to bed. So because of that experience growing up and seeing a capable single mother thrive on her own, a lot of hard work, wasn't easy, nothing was given to her, so I never really had an understanding of equal rights as a child. Then as I grew up, there wasn't a lot of talk, you know, when I became there hasn't been a lot of talk about the Equal Rights Amendment over the past 30 years. Why? Because I think did people look at the Equal Rights Amendment and go, okay, so we got to fix some things in the workplace and all that. And, you know, Me Too is certainly maybe an extension of that universe, but not directly attached. I think Me Too is an outbreak of the advancements of women in the 80s. Oh man, we're getting into some deep stuff now because I do have some real serious thoughts about power women who came out of the Equal Rights Amendment, who entered the workplace. Their behavior, I believe, emulated the bad behavior traits of the men that preceded them. Why? Because when you're first through the fucking door, you don't worry about nuance, right? So this is not casting blame or aspersion on the women who broke the glass ceilings back in the 80s. I'm just simply saying that they played the game. They played the game. They outplayed men in many respects, and they were able to benefit from that. So then you get like 20, 30 years in the workplace, and the culture was never changed. Like the women, there were still guys playing grab ass in the corner offices and all that kind of stuff. And it didn't matter if you had a female CEO. She wasn't going to change the culture because the business was thriving, and she had a good gig. And it seemed like there was a number of other women CEOs. I mean, a woman being a CEO of the largest company in the world shocks nobody in 2023. So, you know, I don't know. And that's where I say the whole Me Too movement seems to be a very important one. I'm not diminishing true male aggression against women, especially men coming from a position of power. I'm not trying to marginalize that at all. What I'm trying to say is that the ability to complain about it openly is a luxury of the Equal Rights Amendment, although not necessarily directly attached to it. It's a luxury. In 1969, if a woman had claimed Me Too, do you know what would have happened to her? She lost her job. Everybody would have laughed at her. But then women became more powerful. So anyway, so the ERA, long way of me saying, did that amendment pass or did that fail? Here's what I think happened with the Equal Rights Amendment. I think it failed, and I'm not going to hit the Wikipedia page. I don't care. We're free balling here. This is stream of consciousness. Here's what I think. Very drunk history, this, except I'm not drunk. Except on caffeine. So I think the Equal Rights Amendment back in the 70s failed. I think it failed. But then I think quietly everybody kind of went, okay, but let's do all those things anyway. You know what I mean? Let's start promoting women. So I don't know. But it was sent to the states. Now that's interesting. On this day in 1972, the United States Congress sends the Equal Rights Amendments to the states for ratification. Is that a part of the normal process? Congress. Okay, Congress. So is that joint? Is that Senate? That would be the Congress. The United States Congress is the Senate and the House of Representatives together. Okay, there you go. So yeah, it looks. I don't know. I guess it didn't pass. I don't know. Whatever. But again, single mom. She was always the boss. So from the earliest age, I was like, "What do you mean? Women can do anything men can do? Huh? Really? My mom does everything for me." You know, it was like that. It was like, what? I think, if I'm being honest, I actually think I prefer women in charge. You know, that was kind of my thinking my whole life. And on this day in 1978, Carl Wallenda of the Flying Wallendas dies after falling off a tightrope suspended between two hotels in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And the idiots of the world were shocked. That's going to happen. I mean, if I was there and I'm like, you know, I'm on vacation in Puerto Rico and they're like, hey, there's an event down at the square. And I'm like, what is it? They're like, some man is going to tightrope across two buildings. I'd be like, all right, I'll go watch it. I'd watch it. And I'd be like, man, that's crazy. There's a reason that, like, this whole crowd is gathered. This whole crowd is gathered here to watch this guy do this because he shouldn't be able to do this, right? We should all, like, it's highly unlikely he's going to be able. Oh, there he goes. He fell. That's how I'd be, you know? We get these acts, they hypnotize us into this almost mystical trance where it's like we suddenly stop believing. Siegfried and Roy, audience members. I want my money back after the tiger eats Roy. I want my money back. First of all, lady, you saw the show of a lifetime. You want your money back? You should be paying us more. This line of refunds at the box office for that Siegfried and Roy show should be because they want to pay us more because they have seen the show of a lifetime. Imagine that. You are in the audience, the show that the tiger eats Roy. Or did he eat Siegfried? I don't even know. Tiger ate both of them for all I care. You're at that show. That happens. And you want your money back. You feel like you don't. For the rest of your life, you were at that show. For the rest of your life, every dinner conversation, every time you go out to eat with people, that story is going to come up. You were at the Siegfried and Roy show where people were shocked. It's a tiger. Tigers eat people. That's what's supposed to happen. You were the only, that audience at the Siegfried and Roy show are the only people to have ever gotten a real Siegfried and Roy show. Everything else is, I don't know, those animals are trained. Anyway, on this day, Carl Wallenda, dude, look, I'm going to walk on a piece of thread across two buildings. And he fell and he died. And people were like, what? You gathered to watch somebody do this. What did you think was going to happen? Probably. And that's where the mystical, you know, well, it's a show. I thought it was going to be fine. I was going to be transported from the ugly reality of life. And he was going to show me that anything is possible by walking across these two buildings. Oh, there he goes. On this day in 1997, Comet Hale-Bopp reaches its closest approach to Earth. Remember Hale-Bopp? Hale-Bopp, whatever happened to them? 2019, on this day, the special counsel investigation on the 2016 United States presidential election concludes when Robert Mueller submits his report to the United States Attorney General. I couldn't even tie it. You know, that whole thing. Idiots over here. Idiots over here. I don't know what's real with that. I don't even care. At this point, moving on. Nothing happened. Moving on. Okay. How about some birthdays? Let's run through some birthdays. Born on this day. Oh, we're going all the way back. That's right. I'm going to honor some comedy legends. Born on this day in 1887, Chico Marx of the Marx Brothers. Oh my God, I love the Marx Brothers. They are so timelessly funny. They're like other comedy acts from back then. They're not funny. The Marx Brothers are funny. And you want to know why they're timelessly funny? Because Groucho. Groucho invented a character that we have seen a million other times portrayed in a million other different comedy sketches. But the premise of the character that Groucho created is the guy that is super smart. So brilliant smart, but not educated at all. Doesn't know how to do nothing, but knows enough to be able to con his way into situations where he then has to fake his way through it. That act, that persona, was perfected by Groucho Marx. And we've seen it a million other times, a million other examples in comedy routines. That's a character. But Groucho Marx as a person, as a personality, he also had this incredible wit, this undeniable, this Rickles level wit to just dress people down. And he also did that as well as anyone. The art of dressing someone down and completely humiliating them in such a rapid-fire fashion that they have no idea what's happening to them, but the entire room knows that they should be humiliated. That's Groucho. That's what Groucho was able to do. That dude is so funny, man. That dude is funny. And his brother, Chico, not quite as funny, but still one of the Marx Brothers, born on this day in 1887. Born on this day in 1912, Carl Malden. Remember that guy? Remember that guy in the American Express commercials from the 70s? Gigantic nose, man. That guy's lucky. American Express and that guy are both lucky that HD TV didn't exist when Carl Malden and his nose were pitching the American Express card. Streets of San Francisco, he was an actor. He's in a bunch of stuff. Carl Malden, 1912. 1930, born on this day, Pat Robertson. American minister and broadcaster, founder of the Christian Broadcast Network. Let me tell you something about Pat Robertson. I've said this before. To me, he's one of the scariest people on the planet. Not because of the whole, that's not it. It's not his pop. He's the scariest person on the planet to me. Because I consider myself a really good judge of character. Like, I can size somebody up really quick. Like, I can pretty much, within the first couple of minutes of being around somebody, I can tell what their motives are. I can tell what it is. And not that I'm the kind of person that goes into every relationship thinking that this is transactional and everybody's got an ulterior motive. No, not like that at all. But I can tell. I can pretty much read a person. I can't read Pat Robertson. That's why he scares the shit out of me. He's like empty. He's like, I look at him and I'm like, man, I don't know. I think he's weird, right? He's weird. He says some crackpot shit. I'm just telling you, I'm just revealing, maybe TMI, maybe a little TMI. But with Pat Robertson for years, for like 30 years, every time I look at him, I'm like, man, I don't get the vibe. I don't know what vibe I'm getting off this guy. That's what it is. I'm getting something. I don't know what it is. Could it be Satan? Might be. He was born on this day in 1930. Born on this day in 1931. Here's a dude who I've met a couple times, and just the best vibes, and the best vibes always. William Shatner. William Shatner. He's awesome, man. That's a dude who just loves the lottery ticket he got in life. I don't know what that lottery ticket is. Yeah, he's handsome, I guess. He's been an actor his whole career. Beautiful models. He got a couple of hit shows. He's a freaking icon, right? Without ever having to be like, Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise. He's freaking William Shatner. He's every bit as famous as all of those guys. I love William Shatner. I've met William Shatner twice. And I don't know if he's always on, like always, hey, but he's just a warm, friendly, loving guy. Captain Kirk. Now, that, I understand, goes against a lot of what the people on Star Trek said about him back in the 60s and 70s. That he was pushy, arrogant, and a narcissist and all that kind of stuff. But maybe there's two. Maybe there's two Shats. Maybe there's like 1970s and earlier Shats, and then maybe there's like, old man Shats who was happy to get that character of Denny Lane. Remember on Boston Legal? Was that, or was it The Practice? I don't know what it was. But he had a resurgence, man. And it made him a lot of money, and it brought him back up, and then the internet, and Star Trek, and sci-fi, and comic. He's big. Good. And he seems at this point in his life to just be a guy like, take me now, because I feel like I did it right. He's like, he seems like TJ Hooker. He had TJ Hooker, Frank points out. Happy birthday to you there, Billy the Shat. Born on this day in 1948, Wolf Blitzer. Wolf Blitzer's got a beard. Why has he got a beard? Why is he allowed to have a beard? There was a time when Wolf Blitzer's the only guy on TV with a beard. You weren't allowed to have a beard on TV. Facial America didn't want facial hair. Wolf Blitzer had a beard. Wolf Blitzer, he bores me. He bores me. And that says a lot about me because Wolf Blitzer does straight news. He dabbles. He's forced at times to dabble with panels that are just like, oh, God, this is bad cable news. But Wolf Blitzer is pretty much just an old school journalist. He's just an old school news guy. And it's boring. It's boring because it ain't Tucker. Because it ain't Maddow. It ain't throwing shit. I admit it. The Wolf Blitzer comes on with his, and here's what's really happening, and this is stuff that I stand behind, and I'm a real journalist, and here's no real political, I go, click, you're a boring old man, and why have you been allowed to have a beard for 40 years? Anyway, happy birthday, Wolf Blitzer. Happy birthday to you, Bob Costas, 1952, born on this day. Bob Costas, a little much. It's a little much, Bob Costas, for me. I like him. Bob Costas is there's a lot of guys in sports radio like this. There are a lot of Bob Costas type guys in sports radio. And typically what they are they're the guys who never played the sport, right? And they're in broadcast sport, they're in sports broadcast media, which is you're constantly around people who played the sport. If you never played the sport, then you're the Bob Costas guy or the Joe Buck guy or whatever. If you're that guy, the Jim Nance, if you're that guy, you're constantly around sports guys, and they're constantly belittling you and making you feel like you're when the whole world falls apart and it's torches and sticks time. We're going to kill you first, you little nerd. You know what I mean? That's Bob Costas kind of had that. He's like, okay, I'm a little nerd around all these guys. So he overcompensated by trying to be the smartest guy in the room at all times. And I'm telling you, this is now a thing in sports radio, where it's the little guy, where it's like Irving and Moose. And like Moose played tackle for the local team for 10 years, and Irving is just like some little nerdy sports stat guy. You see it all the time. That guy's going to overcompensate by trying to be as well-rounded in everything as possible. Because Moose probably doesn't know about Fellini films. But Irving does. Irving can talk about the Tampa 2 and the works of Hieronymus Bach, right? I don't know. I'm spinning. It's stream of consciousness. I had nothing on Bob Costas, and I made that all up. But thanks, Bob Costas. You're the reason there's a whole bunch of irritating sports talk nerds. 1955, born on this day. We're going to take a moment here, and we're going to honor a lady who I think you all need to know. Born on this day in 1955, Lena Olin. Do you guys know who Lena Olin is? She's a Swedish actress. Oh, my God. I don't know. I saw her in like one movie in the 90s, and I went, she's the most beautiful woman. She was so beautiful. She still is. She's born in 1955, so she's a little bit long in the tooth now, but she's all right. Here's another thing I want to mention about Lena Olin. It gives an opportunity for me to promote something that I love, something nobody even knows about. There was a television show. It's almost like a secret television show. It's called Welcome to Sweden. And Lena Olin was in it. And Welcome to Sweden was a show that I just found in the very early days of like NBC, even before Peacock. It was like NBC Digital, on your cable system or whatever. And it looked to me to be a situation comedy that, NBC greenlit and then decided to not air. And so they just threw this entire first season of this show up. It's called Welcome to Sweden. And it stars Amy Poehler's brother. Now, I think that this show got greenlit in the first place because Amy Poehler was so big with Parks and Rec that she went, I got a show I want to produce, because Amy Poehler was also the executive producer of this show. Here's the premise of Welcome to Sweden. Amy Poehler's brother, not in the show, in real life, the guy who is actually Amy Poehler's brother, plays a guy who is a big-time Hollywood accountant, and he falls in love with a Swedish girl who he meets in New York City. And he decides that he can do his big-time Hollywood accounting job from Sweden to go live and be with this woman. And by the way, this woman's like a 6-foot Swedish blonde. She's gorgeous. Anyway, so he moves to Sweden. And the series is all about how this disrupts his relationship with all his Hollywood clients, of which they all seem to be cast members from Parks and Recreation. Amy Poehler is in this show. Aubrey Plaza is hysterical as his stalker. Aubrey Plaza plays Aubrey Plaza, who falls in love with her accountant, and she stalks him to Sweden. Anyway, it's a great show. If you've never seen it, it's called Welcome to Sweden. You might enjoy it. Lena Olin plays his mother-in-law, his Swedish mother-in-law, and she's really funny. I highly recommend it. Should you ever run across Welcome to Sweden, it's very funny, and it's Parks and Rec funny. It's that kind of humor. If you like that kind of humor, that's what it is. Welcome to Sweden. Happy birthday, Lena Olin. I still have a crush on you. Born on this day in 1959, Matthew Modine. Matthew Modine, Vision Quest, right? I mean, Matthew Modine draft. No, we're not going to do a Matthew Modine draft. He doesn't rate that high. Vision Quest, man. He had to wrestle shoot. Shoot, man. You didn't want to wrestle shoot. Shoot trained by running up the basketball bleachers with a giant tree on his back. Like a tree trunk. Like, I guess it's a log. Like a logging. You know, like you see on the back of trucks. He would run, shoot. Oh, my God, Matthew Modine. And he wrestled him. That was good. I love Vision Quest. I'd like to see a remake of Vision Quest. Would you have to update it for MMA? Maybe. No, man. No, you don't. Why take that away from high school wrestling? High school wrestling is awesome. Vision Quest does not go MMA. It stays high school wrestling. Or I'm not going to be involved. And you tell them that. Jimbo Covert, born on this day in 1960. Jimbo Covert, 85 Bears. Oh, Jimbo. Born on this day in 1969, Russell, Maryland. See, one for my Bears, one for our Cowboys. Russell, Maryland, born on this day in 1969. Let me tell you something about Russell, Maryland. Russell, Maryland's my age. Now, I did not play football against Russell, Maryland, thank God. But he did play for Whitney Young, which is a school where I come from. And I remember Russell, Maryland when he was in high school. Yeah, because I was in high school too, and I was like, how are we the same species? How is it the level that guy plays football at Whitney Young, Russell, Maryland? How is that guy the same as the guy that lines up on my football? How is that the same? Happy birthday, Russell, Maryland. Born on this day in 1971, Keegan-Michael Key. Okay, Key and Peele, obviously. His partner, Jordan Peele, is like the biggest director in Hollywood right now. Do you think he's mad? Do you think like Keegan-Michael Key is like, why him and not me? You know what I mean? Do you think? And is it weird between them? Because we, the great unwashed, the viewing public, we all assume that they live like the monkeys. You know, like Key and Peele live together. They share a room and they're buddies and they do. That's what we just assume. And to a lesser extent, we assume that since the show isn't on the air, we assume that at the very least they're still like buddies. You know, I bet they text each other jokes all the time. Funny names for that East-West football all-star game bit they do. Funny names. I thought of a new funny name. Like, that's what we want to believe. But the fact of the matter is that they were business partners. And one of them took a different track and the other went another way. And they're probably still friends. They probably still love each other. You know, brother from another mother forever and ever. All that good stuff. But they might not have talked in 18 months. You know, because that's how it goes. And I wonder if, because of the situation, is there resentment? Because look, I love Keegan-Michael Key. He's funny. He's great. I dare say he was the better of the Key and Peele. But Jordan Peele is Alfred Hitchcock, right? I mean, Jordan Peele has gone to a different stratosphere. And meanwhile, Keegan-Michael Key is still showing up on, NBC sitcoms at 8:30 on Wednesday. It's a little different. And I'm wondering if there's any resentment there. Adam says, think more Matt Damon and Ben Affleck than Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari. He says, stop with this dumb notion. He's not upset that his friend is a famous director. No, not upset. You could see this is, you stop with the dumb notion that people are so reductive and simplistic. Okay. No, he's not upset. You can be thrilled that your friend, and you can be thrilled. You can be jealous. You can be all manner of things. I'm simply asking, in his moments, do you think he goes, well, why him and not me? Why does everybody like him? I'm not trying to cause any disturbance. I'm simply talking about the way human beings process success. I can tell you that in the radio business, I have many friends who are incredibly successful. And I'm happy for them. And I root on them and I promote them, whatever they need and all that stuff. I love them. But I'm jealous. I mean, that's not. I'm jealous of Sybil. Are you kidding me? What? I mean, you can do that. We're complicated. I don't mean to say that they're not friends. I'm just saying one's probably a lot busier than the other, for one thing. You know, what with locations and flying around and meetings with studio heads and stuff like that. And the other guy is, you know, pacing his living room waiting for his agent to call to let him know if he got a spot on, I don't know what. I couldn't even come up with a sitcom. 2.5 Men. I guess that's not on anymore. What's that really good show that everybody loves that I haven't watched yet about middle school in Philly? Whatever. Is he on that show? He may as well even be on that show. I don't know. See, but that's my point. I don't know I know what Jordan Peele is doing. Born on this day in 1972. Oh, look at the big Mormon, right? Sean Bradley. German-American basketball player, coach, and actor, Sean Bradley. Sean Bradley's one of those gigantic white dudes that, you see them from time to time, like at the mall. And I always feel bad for them because they're never Will Perdue or Sean Bradley. They're always just some poor guy who's 7'2", who, never developed a jumper. He's that guy. And now the NBA thing didn't work out. I mean, if you are naturally like 7 foot tall, you better just very early on recognize that you just learn the bare minimum of all of the required things and you'll be fine. You'll get the league minimum sets you up for life after a couple of years. So, but yeah, every time I see a Sean Bradley type who isn't Sean Bradley, I go, man, that's a shame. Because now it just all sucks, right? Like you can't get a special car to fix, your 7'2" legs. You're crammed in a Honda Accord. Look at you. My God. Born on this day in 1972, Corey Lytle. Corey Lytle died in 2006. Corey Lytle, is he the Yankee who drove the plane into the apartment complex? Hold on, I just lost the internet on this bad boy. Are we still streaming? Chat room, check in, because I just noticed that on this we've lost the internet. Okay, there we go. Corey Lytle was the... Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Adam. Corey Lytle was a New York Yankee who went on an off day, took his private plane for a sightseeing flight around New York City and crashed into an apartment building. And this is 2006, so we were all still very 2009-11 stuff. It was very, God, it was an accident. It was a terrible accident, but man. Let's see here. 1975, born on this day, Cole Hauser. Cole Hauser, ladies and gentlemen. Who likes Yellowstone? I like Yellowstone. It's not a MAGA show. Taylor Sheridan's an environmentalist and a Hollywood liberal. He's got a show that is popular with... He can't help that. Okay. Cole Hauser. He's on, he plays, who does he play? He plays, let me see, what's his character's name? I can never remember. It's like Loomp. I don't know. It's something like Goomp. It's a name that fits his character. Who does he play? Oh, for crying out loud. You guys in the chat room are going to get this before me. He plays Rip. That's it. It was like Grunk. It's like whatever. He plays Rip on Yellowstone. All right, so Cole Hauser celebrating a birthday today. He plays Rip on Yellowstone. Everybody loves Rip. Rip is awesome. Rip is my favorite character, even if I fail to remember what his name actually is. Rip is this man's man kind of a guy. Dude, this dude, Cole Hauser, is Hollywood royalty. You want to talk about a Nepo baby? This dude is right there with the Nepo. He ain't no hardball. I love Rip on Yellowstone because he's authentic. He ain't authentic. He might be the greatest actor you've ever seen, but he ain't authentic. First of all, he's Cole Hauser's kid. So he grew up like a Hollywood kid. He went to like Malibu High School. Okay? So Rip Wheeler on Yellowstone. Stop it. Let's see here. Cole Hauser is the son. Wait, what was it? Wait, no, his dad is, who's his dad? His dad is somebody important. He's Cole Hauser. Wingshauser. Is it Wingshauser? Who's his dad? I don't know. But let me just give you the opening, just in case you're thinking that Rip from Yellowstone is some authentic depiction of, good all-American, America kind of guy. No, he's not. Cole Hauser is the son of Cass Warner. Oh, so his name is Cole Warner Hauser. I wonder if the name Warner means anything in Hollywood. Oh, his grandpa was one of the Warner brothers. Oh, now I get it. He is. He's the greatest fucking actor on the planet. He is one of the greatest actors going, because he pulls off that character of Rip Wheeler so authentically, so sincerely, and so convincingly that one would completely be led to believe that he was not raised the way he was raised. He's a Warner brother, for crying out loud. He's got Bugs Bunny money. Cole Hauser is the son of Cass Warner, who founded the film production company Warner Sisters. Because I get it. Mom, her dad was one of the Warner brothers, and he had kids, and so they formed Warner Sisters. Not as successful, but that's okay. You don't have to be successful when your parent company is Warner Brothers. His paternal grandfather was Academy Award-winning screenwriter Dwight Hauser. Okay, so that's on his dad's side. One of Cole's maternal great-grandfathers was film mogul Harry Warner, a founding partner of Warner Brothers. And his paternal grandfather was Milton Sperling, a Hollywood screen. Dude, he has Hollywood nepotism on both sides of his family. His paternal side has a couple of Oscars. They're screenwriters and producers. And then his mom's side are the Warner Brothers. I don't care. Actually, look, I always tell you, I'm like, these celebrities we see here, this whole idea that you can get on a bus in Dayton and get off on the corner of Hollywood and Vine and be discovered, that's some bullshit. Your dad had to have done 5 seasons of network TV in the 90s for you to even get a look-see these days. Nepo babies, that thing is very real. Covertly. Cole Hauser, man. Covertly a Nepo baby. Reese Witherspoon, not a Nepo baby, although she probably had a rich daddy who owned a bunch of car dealerships down in Alabama or something, and he paid her rent and allowed her to go on auditions. Reese Witherspoon, no, she was a child actress. She probably had the other thing. She had a dad who owned a bunch of car dealerships who was in a loveless marriage with her mom, but they had a lot of money, so mom was like, I'm taking little Reese to Hollywood and making her a star, and you're going to put us up at the Hollywood Chateau so we can meet people at the pool, that kind of thing. So that's how she did it. I think that's how she did it, because she was a kid. But happy birthday, Reese Witherspoon. You did it. You made it. Enjoy it. Born on this day in 1989, J.J. Watt, American football player. Love J.J. Watt. Love him. Don't want him on my team. He thought he was good. I might come out of retirement if this is what edge rushers are making. I don't know if this is what you'd make as an edge rusher, J.J., but, stay in retirement. You're a great guy. Great guy doing great works. Oh, my God. Just what a guy. J.J. Watt. Born on this day in 1994. Happy birthday to Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz. We mentioned Edwin Diaz, closer for the New York Mets. We mentioned him because he gave me that song, the song that became the theme of Mansplaining, the song that was for a period of time the theme to James Parker. You know that song I used to play? Boom, 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 boom. That's Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz, that's his walkout music. I would have never known that song without Edwin Diaz. All right, a couple of people passed away and died on this day in 1958. Mike Todd. You know who Mike Todd is? Mike Todd was an American film producer. Mike Todd was married to Elizabeth Taylor. All right, who is this? Is it Debbie Reynolds? Okay, so here's the deal. All right, this is how fucked up Elizabeth Taylor is. This is Hollywood, these people, I'm telling you. Okay. So Elizabeth Taylor and Mike Todd are married. Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds are married. Those two couples are friends. They go out, they drink, we're famous. Woo, look at us, Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor drunk on the town again. And oh, look at their husbands. Aren't they the closest of friends, Eddie Fisher and who's this guy? This Mike Todd. Mike Todd dies in a plane crash. So now that foursome, now Elizabeth Taylor doesn't have a husband anymore. So she steals Debbie Reynolds' husband, Eddie Fisher. What? What a bitch. Everybody's grieving. Now, it might be Eddie Fisher, by the way, Carrie Fisher's dad, Leah, Princess Leia. Eddie Fisher. Now, people say that Eddie Fisher may have taken advantage of her, he was always wanting to get with her, and that he just used the opportunity of her mourning the death of her husband in a plane crash to sort of seal that deal. Eddie Fisher seemed like kind of a scumbag, so that might be true. But poor Debbie Reynolds, her best friend, ran off with her husband? Debbie Reynolds. My God. Well, it was on this day that Mike Todd's plane went down, and that whole thing happened over the course of the next couple of weeks. On this day in 1994, Dan Hartman died. Now, I'm Gen X. I'm a kid from the 90s. I don't know who Dan Hartman is. I know the name, right? But what song did he do the song, I can dream about you if I can hold you tonight? Was he that guy? Is that Dan Hartman? I think it might be. Dead on this day in 1994, Walter Lantz, American animator, director, and producer. Not sure who Walter Lantz is. I believe he is responsible for the second greatest cartoon character of all time, who is, of course, Woody Woodpecker. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Woody Woodpecker is the second greatest cartoon character of all time. Why? Because, as Kramer said it best on Seinfeld, he's a troublemaker. But he's only the second best, because the number one greatest cartoon character of all time is, of course, Bugs Bunny, with Cole Hauser from Yellowstone cashing those Bugs Bunny checks to this day. So I think Walter Lantz did Woody Woodpecker. I'm not sure. If he did, he was great, because the whole Woody Woodpecker universe was great, right? Didn't that have that penguin? Who's the penguin? Everybody loved that penguin. Anyway, Walter Lantz died on this day in 1994. Hey, is Kevin Barber in the chat room? He should set me straight on all this stuff. Hi, Dustin. Dustin's checking in. Barney's here. Cole Hauser, Adam Morena says, Cole Hauser, back on Rip from Yellowstone, the Warner brother. Cole Hauser was constantly jealous that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were successful for 2 decades before him. Yeah, that's the only thing that can beat nepotism, and that's a talented script. And, after Hollywood got a hold of Good Will Hunting, Affleck and Damon were on a rocket ship. Those guys were all buddies together. Those guys all came up. Cole Hauser, and I imagine that this is what Adam is alluding to. Cole Hauser famously is in Dazed and Confused with Ben Affleck. So, yeah, but here's the thing. I'm sure it did irritate him, Adam, but, it's not like he was eating ramen noodles in a funky apartment, right? I mean, he's Cole Hauser. He was living at his family's beach house in Malibu, just being pissed about his buddies, Ben and, I like him. I do. But I like, non-politically, just I love the intrigue of Yellowstone. And I hate Beth. I hate Beth. Beth and Rip are married now. I hate Beth. But I love Rip, and Rip is who we're talking about, Cole Hauser. Kevin Barber checks in. He says, I'm correct about Walter Lantz. He was Woody and Chili Willy. That's what it was. I like Chili Willy. Everybody likes Chili Willy. Walter Lantz, dead on this day in 1994. That's terrible. Dead on this day in 1999, David Strickland. You guys remember this? David Strickland? David Strickland was kind of becoming famous. He was on Suddenly Susan. He was funny. He was, and then he just killed himself in a funky motel off the strip in Vegas. He hung and killed himself. It was shocking. It was not for people with depression, but it was shocking that oh, wait a second. Isn't he in this new movie? And then he was in a couple of movies that he had made, that were released posthumously. It's just a weird situation. David Strickland. It reminds me a lot of that Corey Monteith. Remember, the Corey Monteith story, the kid from Glee who, died. Did Corey Monteith kill himself, or was that a drug overdose? I don't know. I think Strickland killed himself. 2001, Kevin Barber, I hope you're holding on, because this is not a good day for you. We already talked about Walter Lantz dying in 1994 on this day. Well, this day took another one. On this day in 2001, William Hanna, American animator, director, producer, and voice actor, co-founder of Hanna-Barbera, died on this day in 2001. Oh, man. There you go. It's a bad day for cartooning. You lost Walter. You lost two debatably Mount Rushmore American. I mean, who you got? You got. I put one of the Hanna. Wait, I guess you got to do both Hanna-Barbera. So Mount Rushmore of American. Well, for me, I'm an idiot. Kevin Barber in the chat room could set me straight, but I'm an idiot. So the Mount Rushmore of like American animators would be like Hanna-Barbera, Walt Disney. Two Waltz and two Barbera brothers. Would that be fair? Could we have room for like maybe Seth MacFarlane? I think he's great. I don't know. This is where, you really don't know anything about animation. I don't know. I'm just telling you. Walter Lantz, Hanna-Barbera, and Walt Disney. That's got to be the apex. They got to be like the big three. I don't know. There's other ones too, I'm sure, that are great. Dead on this day in 2016, Rob Ford. Remember the crack-smoking mayor of Toronto? Remember? It was like in the 50s when a black act would come out with like a really good song and then they'd make Pat Boone cover it. That's what Rob Ford was to Marion Barry. Like Marion Barry did the whole crack thing, but it was like, that's not that shocking. Yeah, we don't want to play that. We're not going to play that record. And then up in Toronto, Lily White Rob Ford's like, I'm going to be a mayor of a big city and smoke crack. And then he did it. And he became like an international superstar. Now, Marion Barry became the scourge. And oh my God, he's a terrible. Rob Ford's going on Jimmy Kimmel, right? Rob Ford became, what do you want from me? It seemed to work out for him. Well, I mean, not ultimately. He died in 2016, probably of, I don't know. I think he had cancer or something like that. Rob Ford, dead on this day in 2016. All right. Do you feel like we understand today? Do you feel like we know? We've gone through all the events of the day. We've gone through the birthdays, the deaths. I feel like I understand what previously on March the 22nd. I feel like I understand what that's about. All right. Let's get into the news of today. And we got a lot. We're going to run over. I'm just looking at the time and I'm like, hope you ain't got anywhere to go because I think we're going to hang out for a while here today. Big news. The New York grand jury will not meet today. I don't know what's going on with this thing. This is just, ignore it. Ignore this stuff. They're just chinning us up. We talked about how it was on this day in history. I don't know how many years ago, 4 years ago, that the Mueller report was finally released. Some of you people were like needing high dosage anxiety medication for a couple of years waiting for that Mueller report. You was like, it's going to come any day now. Calm down. You're doing the same thing with this whole investigation. I know it's taking a long time. Look, the wheels of justice grind exceedingly slowly. Certainly not the first to say that. And they're even slower when the defendant can afford attorneys to really slow it up. I mean, I don't know what they're hoping for, but so it was originally it was reported. We should be honest about it. Trump is the one who put it out on Truth Social that he was going to be arrested on Tuesday, which was odd to me because there would have to be an indictment first, and I don't know where the indictment was coming from, and the grand jury has to meet, and it's not that we would know. See, here's the other thing: the New York grand jury will not meet today. This is why the news is so all over the road on this story. We're not supposed to know when grand juries meet. Grand juries meet in secret. That's how they're done. But in this particular case, everybody's looking. Everybody is looking. So the assumption was made yesterday when nothing happened after, Trump said, I'm going to be arrested Tuesday, protest, take America back, all that stuff. When Trump put that out himself, the entire media was all like, Tuesday, it's going to happen. And then there was no indictment Monday. Nothing happened Tuesday. How could there be an arrest? So then Tuesday night, they started going, tomorrow, based on nothing. Just assumptions that the grand jury would meet tomorrow. So they told us all, and Fox, MSNBC, CNN, all across the board, all of them. The grand jury will reconvene tomorrow, and we expect an indictment in the afternoon. And then they start adding on to the story, because if you can add more details, then it doesn't look like you shit the bed originally. It doesn't look like you're completely wrong, because now you're adding new things. So the add-ons last night was, it's going to be Wednesday, but they're going to give him a week to turn himself in. So there will be no arrest this week. Like, they added that bullshit on based on them saying the grand jury will meet today, Wednesday. They didn't have any proof, any information. They were just assuming, because remember, grand juries are in secret. So now it's announced, like, the grand jury ain't meeting today. Like, the grand jury put it out this afternoon, and CNN is acting like breaking news. The grand jury has announced they will not be meeting today. Now, in order to not look like fools for saying they were going to meet, because remember, they didn't have any basis for saying that they were going to meet, as if they had some information. They had no basis for that other than ginning us up. They didn't know, because grand juries are held in secret, even to the media. But this is a special case, so everybody's looking at it and trying to figure out when it is. So they go on the air, the grand jury's going to meet tomorrow. They shit the bed. The New York grand jury people, whatever, they put out a thing going, we're not meeting today, even though the news media has been reporting it. So then, news media shit the bed on that. They got it wrong. But no, they didn't get it wrong. Because now they're suggesting they want to meet with more people. Do you think, is that what it could be? Because then they get their panels together, and a whole bunch of people with differing political agendas start saying shit again, because this is what they think is happening. But they put it out there like it's what's happening. So we are all like, why isn't this happening? It's all a house of cards, man. Nobody knows anything. Grand juries are held in secret. This is it. Stop. Just sit back and wait. It will be enough. Now, it may be leaked like an hour or so before, but just sit back and relax, man. So they're not meeting today. Okay, we got that. All right, storms. We got some storms in California again. Doesn't this seem like a story that we do every week? How many storms has California had in the past couple of months? And in Northern California, too. A historic storm. Historic. This storm is historic. This is the latest historic storm. Last week's storm. Remember that? You remember last week's storm? It was historic. No, I don't remember. See, the whole point of having an historic storm, you remember it throughout history. Everything that has hit San Francisco, every weather pattern that has hit them in the last 6 months, we've all been ginned up to think it's a historic storm. Another historic storm. I don't know what that's about. It's bad weather. It's bad weather. It's a particularly nasty winter into spring. Now, are we going to get into an argument about global warming and all that kind of stuff? No, we're not. That's an argument for a completely different set of brains, okay? We're just right now, as our pedestrian level people, we're just going to go, man, California's getting some bad weather. Now, if a giant, 1,000-foot Godzilla type emerges behind, then we can all, we can change. But as of right now, it's just weather. It's bad weather. A historic storm rattled San Francisco with hurricane-force gusts. It's winding down, leaving behind the threat of flooded streets and highways across the Bay Area. There's crazy video out there of the Bay Bridge. That's not the Golden Gate Bridge. The Bay Bridge, I believe, is the one that connects Oakland. Does it connect Oakland to San Francisco? I don't know, whatever. Not a box truck, but like a semi, like a big 18-wheel semi. The wind in the middle of the Bay Bridge pushed this semi over, and oh my God, the bridge was swaying and traffic was backed up, and they had to one by one move cars. They had to back them up off the bridge for like a mile and a half, like the bridge, because they were afraid that the sustained weight with the wind might cause the bridge. Oh, it was crazy. San Francisco. Got some bad stuff yesterday. World Baseball Classic. How about Team USA? Team USA lost to Team Japan last night, in the World Baseball Classic. We never led the game. Team USA put out a lineup of Major League Baseball players. That was beautiful. If you love the modern game of baseball, if you really do, and you looked at that lineup, and nobody missing. I may have had a question about the catcher, but that's okay. That's okay. Team USA was amazing. God, they were good. And then the Japanese showed up. Then the Japanese team, led by the greatest player in our Major League Baseball, you know who I'm talking about, Ohtani. And we gave the Japanese the game of baseball. It's ours. We gave it to them. We taught them. We were like, that's okay. Your throws will get better. Their throws got better. Their throws got better. Their home runs, if you think we're big, and I was watching this thing about Team Japan on YouTube. If you think that we in Major League Baseball are big into sabermetrics or analytics or launch angles or whatever you want to talk about as far as the new wave of how to predict and how to fix baseball players. If you think we're way into that, oh my God, they are building. Remember in Rocky 3 when they showed how Drago was made? Remember Rocky's like running in the woods. I'm wearing a hat and gloves and I'm running in the woods. And then they cut to Drago training, and he's in like some state-funded facility that's got all the modern stuff. That's basically how the Japanese are building baseball players. It's crazy. So they beat us. The Japanese are the best baseball players in the world. Fuck. It's like, one by one, they're taking all the things that are great about being American. And I'll say this again, and this isn't I'm not throwing this out there to be cute or glib. We gave the Japanese baseball like 100 years ago, right? We gave the Japanese baseball 100 years ago. We've been playing soccer. The English influence of English football, or soccer as we call it here, has been in this country since before the revolution. Why do we still suck at the foreign game we adopted? But Japan is the best in the world now at the foreign game they adopted. What is happening? And I don't buy it. Last night on the show, Dan O'Malley told me, he said, we had Dan O'Malley on Pugs and Parker. You can find all those shows and all the interviews with the old 105.3 gang. You can find those at pugscast.com. Dan O'Malley said it's because, here in America, our best athletes don't play soccer. Well, that's fine, but we can't say the same thing for Japan. We don't know if their best athletes are playing baseball. We don't know what their best athletes are doing. They're good at gymnastics and stuff, right? I don't know what other sports they have. See, because I'm unfamiliar with that level of Japanese culture. They might have another sport over there that we don't know. Some like stick game where I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, they beat us in baseball, and that sucks. IQ scores is trending today. This is interesting. IQ scores. Would you be surprised to find that we're getting dumber with that IQ scores? It's alarming. Scientists. On average, IQ scores have dropped 5%, or 5 points in the last 20 years. Now, here's what they say about this. It doesn't mean that their mental ability or that or the people today, young people, not young people, but people today being tested for IQ. It doesn't mean their mental ability is lower or higher. It's just a difference in scores that are favoring older or newer samples, the study people say. I don't know what that means. This is what I understand. It could just be that they're getting worse at taking tests, or specifically worse at taking these kinds of tests. Now, that's very interesting to me, and that seems to be a way to excuse. But, if you look around the world, I think it stands to reason. I think that tracks that we're getting stupider, that we are 5% dumber than we were. But it also tracks that maybe, are these tests out of date? The way they're applied, I don't know. Here, let me see. Let's go into this a little bit more because this is a fun topic. I love the topic of IQs. And remember, folks, IQs, it's not like how smart you are. Oh, what do you mean your IQ's higher than mine? I went to Yale. No. That's not what IQ is about. IQ is more about your ability to comprehend and learn. Like we're testing, like what are the capabilities of your brain? Not what does your brain already know. Not what have you already been taught, what private schools you went to or anything like that, the best educators in the world. No. This is the IQ is an intelligence quotient. They're trying to figure out what your capabilities are. And these studies find that our capabilities are dwindling, at least by the measurement of the old IQ test. It is very possible that needs to change, that we need to look at that, at how we determine such things. Evanston, Illinois, IQ scores significantly increased from 1932 throughout the 20th century and all over the world, with differences ranging from roughly 3 to 5 IQ points per decade. So people's IQs went up globally 5 points per decade, starting in 1932 and continuing throughout the 20th century. These, let's see here. IQ scores significantly increased from 1932 through the 20th century, with differences ranging from roughly 3 to 5 IQ points per decade. This phenomena is known as the Flynn effect. Now, however, a new study out of Northwestern University suggests a reverse Flynn effect of sorts may be taking place in the United States. The reverse Flynn was present across a large U.S. sample covering between 2006 and 2018. In every category except one. Still, there were consistent negative slopes among 3 out of 4 cognitive domains. So as far as just our overall cognitive abilities, the way, the measurement that we use is showing that we're declining. And again, I think that there may be a different measurement that would show something else. Maybe we are declining in the things we don't need. You know, this is evolution. This happens. It looks really weird and it makes no sense when you're looking at it under the microscope. You have to look at evolution through like a 1,000-year lens. So maybe that's it. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see here. Despite the observed decline in IQ scores, corresponding study author Elizabeth Dworak posits that people shouldn't read these findings and think Americans are getting less intelligent. Okay, Liz, we won't. Even though the study basically says the exact opposite. Uganda. All right, we're going to go on a gay run here. So any of you homophobes, you might want to move your way on out. We got 3 stories here in a row that concern gay, okay? And first of all, this one's really ugly. Uganda is trending. Uganda, if you're gay in Uganda, they just passed this law, okay? They just passed this law. If you're gay in Uganda, and like, let's see, here's the problem with this. This is like witch hunt stuff. Like, you need 2 people to say that you're gay. So if 2 people show up and go, this dude's gay, they will take you, put you on trial for being gay, and if found guilty, you can be put to death, right? There's a whole bunch of different things. Put to death, 7 years. Here, I'll read it to you, all right? I'm trying to not read as much, but hey. Lawmakers in Uganda have passed a sweeping anti-gay law that can bring punishments as severe as the death penalty. The culmination of a long-running campaign to criminalize homosexuality and target LGBTQ people in the conservative nation in East Africa. The law, which was passed late Tuesday night after more than 7 hours of discussion and amendments, calls for a life sentence for anyone engaging in gay sex. You have the gay sex, you go to jail for life. Even attempting to have same-sex relations would be met with a 7-year prison term. Hi, I'm gay. Want to hook up? Are you? No, I'm not. Oh, no. Now I have to go to jail for 7 years. Is that what, like, attempting a gay hookup is? Ooh, man. The death penalty would be applied to people convicted of aggravated homosexuality. It's like Nathan Lane. Nathan Lane aggravates me. Is that aggravated homosexuality? I'm not sure. A sweeping term defined in law as homosexual acts committed by anyone infected by HIV or involving children. Okay. If you're gonna pass the disease or something, or if you're harming children, I'm with you. Disabled people. What? Disabled people can't get their homo swerve on? Why can't disabled people have what? Why would having a gay relationship with a disabled person? Oh, maybe mentally disabled. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Never mind. Back it up. So, okay. The parliamentary vote in Uganda caps a struggle over gay rights in Uganda that has drawn international. I don't care about the gay rights struggle in Uganda. I mean, well, I care about the gay rights struggle. What I mean is, I don't care about the inner working political situation that's happening at the street level in Uganda as it concerns the current debate over this draconian law. That's gross. That's good. You know what, though? Just don't. You know what? This is, again, be happy you live in America, right? This is, again, a reminder of what we have here in America. Greatest country in the world. Don't say gay. Remember I told you we got a couple of stories here. They all have to do with gay. Don't say gay. Florida rule would expand. What are they trying to push the... Oh, yeah, here's what they want to do. So in Florida, they want to expand the Don't Say Gay thing. They had, first season of Don't Say Gay was very successful. So now they have to come up with a story arc for season 2. So they're coming back now. They're like, hey, people really liked when we told them not to say gay. And so now they're coming back with, they're going to expand it. Don't Say Gay was just for kids. Well, here, again, I'm going to let. Florida rule would expand so-called Don't Say Gay to the 12th grade. That's right. The DeSantis administration next month could effectively bar all public school teachers from providing classroom instruction on sexual orientation. So basically, like, what, seniors in high school? So, like, now, like, if you're a gay senior in high school, you can't get any kind of... You go to your guidance counselor and you're like, oh, my God, I'm 17, I'm gay. And the guidance counselor has to go, well, tough, deal with it. I mean, that seems kind of rough. I want to live in a world where guidance counselors are cool, and they recognize that, like, there's a lot of, like, kids with a whole bunch of different things going on, and they need a sympathetic, compassionate, empathetic ear to talk to, and a wise brain, an experienced brain to sort of guide them. I didn't have that. I went to high school for, like, 4 years. I think I met my guidance counselor once or twice. I could have used a guidance counselor. Nothing. Why don't you take another shop class? I'm like, because I don't want to glue boards together, okay? We're going to fail you. Okay, fail me for not gluing boards together. And my high school experience. I had fun, though. I loved high school. Don't get me wrong. So anyway, now they're going to expand it. They're making it even more... I don't know, a lot of these things, like I said, I don't get involved in them, but a lot of these things just seem like... Y'all just being mean, right? Yeah. I mean, that you're just like, you don't like these people and you want to cause them some form of consternation. So you're fucking with them. You're being mean, right? So you can all go, hey, we got them fags. Is that what this is all about? Because I don't get this. I don't get why you wouldn't want a confused 17-year-old in the 12th grade to have somebody they could talk to have a grown-up that they could talk to. Now, I guess the fear is because them grown-ups is going to groom them and turn them into liberals. Stop it. This is a kid in need. 17-year-old kid needs someone to talk to. You should provide, at the very least, somebody to talk to. Nope, I'm sorry. I can't. Sorry, Jim. I can't discuss your sexual dilemmas with you. I can't. That's not right. These people, they can't go to their family. Come on, man. Their moms and dads are in a state where they're voting for shit like this, right? They can't go to their family. I just look, maybe none of my business, I guess. Moving on, none of my business. My son's not gay. You got to prepare yourself for that these days, I guess, right? Because when you have a kid, like when I had my kid, I'm like, short of him being like a cannibal, pedophile, serial killer, there's really nothing that this baby is going to be able to ever do that's going to make me not love it. So, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so you run through all of these things in your head. What if he's a dumbass who gets like really bad grades? Well, I'm still going to love him. I'm still going to absolutely love him. What if, what, all right, so the other one was, I guess, like, what if he's gay? Well, that doesn't matter to me. So from a very young age, I used to like not tease him. But whenever I would say, when you grow up and you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, I don't give a shit. I'm happy either way. And then he would laugh. He's straight though. He's straight. He's going through puberty. Trust me when I tell you, I've seen his history. He's straight. So I don't have to deal with that. And I don't know. I mean, what do they say? Well, how do you know he's straight? I'm like, because he's 13 and he's like hot for every Chakura. Oh, you know what I mean? He's a normal boy because, he's not faking it because, anyway. But my God, my kid was gay, 17 years old. He could come talk to me. But that's not the case for everybody. And you know that. You know that's not the case. That might not be the case for you. I mean, if you really take a look at yourself and your relationship with your kids, I mean, do you think that if your kid was going through or struggling with something like this, would he be comfortable talking to you about it? Or do you think he'd be scared shitless, internalize it, cause all kinds of anxiety and all that kind of stuff? And I don't know. Anyway, all of these things just lead to me going, man, that's just mean. That's just be mean. What happened to liberty and freedom? Just let dudes be gay. Let them talk about I'm gay. Sorry, I need to talk about with somebody. A lot of people are gay, man. There's a lot of gay people out there. We don't do this to redheads. How come, you know what I mean? I mean, all of these there are plenty of other groups that aren't normal, like redheads. I'm joking. My mom's a redhead. I just always throw the ginger thing out there. All right, and finally, the third in our run here of gay. Apparently, there's going to be a big showdown because Disney up there in Florida, Disney's doing their gay day, and I guess the whole world of anti-gay people is coming together down there in Orlando. So it's going to be a thing. It's going to be in September. Let's see, what's it say here? The Walt Disney World Resort is set to host a major LGBT conference in September, over a year after Disney spoke out against Florida's parental rights and education law. The Out and Equal Workplace Summit will be hosted at the Central Florida Resort, per the Tampa Bay Times, September 12th through the 14th. Let's see here. Boom, boom. And then, okay, I don't need to give any oxygen to these people. And a whole bunch of people go, but we all be there. We all make it so. Jesus, come on, man. Seriously. Well, if you don't want me coming to, I bring my family to Disney World no more. I ain't ever coming. You never went to Disney World. You never went to these people. People go to, first of all, people act like we go to Disney World 5 times a summer. No, you don't. A kid might go to Disney World once in his entire life growing up. Maybe if you're so blessed that you live in the immediate area of Disney, okay, so maybe you do go to Disney more than everybody else. You aren't gonna stop because of this gay thing. If you're some dude who lives in adjacent to Disneyland, you're still gonna go there. It's gonna be the epicenter of your orbit. Why? Because you live in the middle of nowhere without it. It's where you're still going to be. So this is why Disney was just yeah, right. Okay, you people, you don't come. Here's who we want coming here. People with expendable incomes who plan their summer vacations around a trip to Orlando. And those people are all over. Hey, you know who does that a lot? Gay people. Gay people love Disney, and they have expendable income to get on an airplane and travel and stay in our nicer resorts and spend all kinds of money. And they'll come back 2-3 times a year. Oh, we go for the teacup rides. It's, whatever appeals to them. Not you hillbilly from Dothan, Alabama, who has never been to Disney World. That's why they're not afraid of you. So come on, gather. All of these gay people at this conference, they're going to be spending so much money. They ain't camping at the Yogi Bear campground like you people. They're at Disney on your day pass, threatening to never do that again. We ain't never gonna buy the cheapest ticket available and then sleep in a public lot across the street. We ain't never doing that again. Okay, that's fine. Because the gays are booking freaking floors in our $1,000 a night wing of suites. But you guys go ahead. Don't come anymore. It was a no-brainer for Disney. It's okay. Not a gay story. Sounds like a gay story. Gayest name ever. Dick Van Dyke is trending. Think about that. That is the gayest name ever. Dick Van Dyke. If Dick Van Dyke wasn't a thing, there would be a porn star with that name, right? Or some kind of genre porn star. I don't know. What do they call them? Fetishes? Whatever that would be. Dick Van Dyke is trending because Dick Van Dyke got himself in a car accident. He seems to be doing okay, so let's not, Dick Van Dyke has, what? No, Dick Van Dyke, right? Dick Van Dyke should totally be like the male Betty White. Why aren't we wrapping Dick Van Dyke in bubble wrap? What's going on here? Dick Van Dyke, first of all, you go, Betty White was an icon. Dick Van Dyke is 10 times the star that Betty White ever was. That's not true. Betty White was a side character on TV shows. Okay, Betty White was a great character actress. She lived a long time. Sandra Bullock put her in a movie and we all fell in love with her again after forgetting about her for 40 years. But Golden Girls, all right, fine. Dick freaking Van Dyke. The dude was a movie star. I don't know. I just don't know why we don't care more about Dick Van Dyke. I don't understand it. And I don't mean to take away from Betty White. She was a lovely woman. I'm just saying that in the last months of Betty White's life, Betty White experienced a level of just love, right? Just love and appreciation. I mean, if you had to die as Betty White, that's pretty cool. Because Betty White was very popular when she died. Inexplicably so. She was popular when she died. I just don't know why Dick Van Dyke doesn't have that. Dick Van Dyke should have that. Dick Van Dyke was in a car accident. We almost lost him. So can we get on? Can we get on with the deification of Dick Van Dyke? The man is all chitty, bang, bang. What's wrong with you people? Veteran actor Dick Van Dyke has suffered minor injuries after his car was involved in a collision in Malibu. First of all, he's like 100. He's still out there racing in a convertible. I just imagine it's a convertible. It's probably a town car. Dick Van Dyke in his town car. 100-year-old Dick Van Dyke in his town car. And it's like a 2005. It's like a 2004 town car. He's racing around. I want to imagine Dick Van Dyke in not in chitty bang bang, but like a convertible like that. He's just racing around. Boom, 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 boom. He's 100. He doesn't care. He's like inside his mind, he's still 35. Veteran actor Dick Van Dyke has suffered minor injuries after his car was involved in a collision in Malibu, California. Officers were called to the scene on the morning of Wednesday the 15th, where they found a silver Lexus had collided with a gate. All right, silver Lexus. That's all right. Collided with a gate. Old man driving around, fast car, nice car, powerful car. Gate. Ooh, better hit that brake. Nope, too late. That's what happens. Reaction time. He hit the gate. In a phone call with CNN, a spokesman for the Malibu Police Department confirmed that the 97-year-old actor who starred in classic children's films like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Mary Poppins suffered minor injuries. Spokesman said the fire department had also been notified of the incident, but that no further details were available about the actor, who last month became the oldest contestant ever to appear on the Fox singing contest, The Masked Singer. Van Dyke landed the Dick Van Dyke. We don't need to go into the history of Dick Van Dyke. We are all very well aware of what the man has done. We're just happy that he's okay. Giselle Bundchen, Michelle, Tom Brady, the ex. Michelle Bundchen. Giselle is trending today because she gave an interview to Vanity Fair where she talked about a whole bunch of things, and it did nothing but fuel those rumors that Giselle is, in fact, a witch. Okay, so I don't know if you know the background on this. So there has been a story, a fun little story. I mean, in the era of QAnon and all those scary stories, there was a fun little story about how Giselle Bundchen is actually a high priestess, a witch in a South American coven. And there's a whole backstory to it. It's like her, and like Charo. I don't know. It's like a thing. It's like all these like... And she's supposedly the latest in a long line of American celebrity females who are muses and high priestesses in this witch coven, right? And Giselle Bundchen, and they're always gorgeous, and they always marry powerful men, and they always have their effect on the powerful man. So that's always been the story about Giselle Bundchen. When Giselle Bundchen and Tom Brady hooked up, all of a sudden, Patriots became a thing. Tom Brady went from being basically, fifth, sixth round draft pick that nobody had any thoughts for to being the greatest quarterback of all time. And then they split up, and all of a sudden Brady's like, Well, that's what we have the sound effect for. Why? Because her witchy spell has left. So that was the rumor. That's the story. And people talk about it. It's a fun little thing to talk about. It's like, well, you know why Brady sucks now? It's because Giselle's a witch. And, she's no longer positively affecting the outcome on the field. Well, Giselle is trending because she's giving an interview to Vanity Fair. And she's either batshit nuts or awesome. Like, awesome. Totally gets it. Totally gets that. Okay. All right. You want to say I'm a witch? Let's play into this. All right. I'm going to embrace this rumor. She gave an interview to Vanity Fair where she basically just comes off as a witch. Like, she basically just comes off. Like, for instance, the article begins, she's standing on the veranda of her oceanfront Costa Rican estate, and she's coupling in her hand a wounded robin, a baby robin who has fallen out of a tree, as Giselle strokes it. like she's fixing the robin. Like she's talking. It's crazy. Anyway, if you're a fan of the Giselle Witch story, and I am, I've loved that story for years. There was a Vanity Fair article where she seems to be playing along with it, or maybe it's true. Oh God, I don't know. See, that's the thing. If it's true, like she really does believe all this, she's crazy. She's batshit crazy. Or a witch. I mean, I will leave like 5%, or witches are real and that's all real. I will leave like 5%. So if she believes that it's all real, that she's a witch and all that stuff is true, then she's 95% crazy, maybe 5% a witch. But if she doesn't believe it and she's just going along with it for the Vanity Fair article because she thinks it's funny and it's cool to fuck with people, love you, Giselle. That is a master play. I like it. So she's either playing into it and she's cool, or she's really believing it and she's nuts. Anyway, Giselle. End of the day, she's going to be good to look at. Newsmax is trending. Newsmax, the controversial, conservative-leaning news source that was celebrated in liberal circles a couple of months ago when it was taken off DirecTV. See, we won one. Newsmax spreading your head. They're back. They're back on DirecTV. It turned out it wasn't. I'm switching to AT&T because they're the parent company of DirecTV, and I want to show support for them siding with me politically about the stuff that's on Newsmax. Yeah, it wasn't about that at all. And now you're locked into an AT&T contract for 2 months, so good on you. No, it was about a contract dispute. You people all projected what you wanted it to be about. You projected that you wanted Newsmax being away from being dropped by DirecTV. You wanted that to be some sort of indication that this kind of stuff is not being tolerated by corporate America. Thank you, AT&T, for kicking them off. That wasn't the case at all. It was a simple argument over subscribers, and now they're back. A lot of you dummies now have AT&T contracts. Newsmax is back on DirecTV. Doesn't matter. I still won't watch it. What else do we have here? Travel. Oh, this is fun. Okay, so here's a nice little conversation that we can have here. This was a study that was done, and it's trending today, and it's being debated there on the Twitters. Travel. And I'll just put it to you like this. Chat room, I want you guys involved in this one. Travel. When you're traveling, when you go, I'll put it this way. Let's say, hey, you're going to go spend 4 days in New York City. All expenses paid. I mean, don't worry about it. So don't worry about it. You're going to you're staying in a nice hotel. You're going to stay in Midtown. You'll be able to do whatever you want. Money's not an object. So you're going to go on a nice trip to New York City. Okay? Vacation. You're not working. Okay? So stop it. Leave the office behind. You're going to New York City on a vacation. Money's not an object. Do you think it's better to just wing it over the next 4 days, or do you need to have an itinerary when you're on vacation? And again, I just use New York City, but you can use any vacation. Really, the question is, when you're on vacation, is it better to have an itinerary, or is it better to just go, all right, we're in New York, let's go to Times Square and just go from there? You know, which is better? Which is better for you? I can tell you that for me, 100% of the time, it's wing it. But it's not wing it. It's not like, hey, it's pretty cool being here in Beirut. I'm just going to go walk around for a while. Like, no, you've got to be informed about where you are. You can't just wing it. I mean, the world is a dangerous place. But if this is a question of when you're on vacation, do you prefer to just wake up and go, what do you want to do today? And then just go explore? Or do you prefer to wake up and go, okay, 10 o'clock, the bus is picking us up out front. We're going to see all of the architecture of Fifth Avenue. And then after that, then we're going to go to lunch and we got to be back downtown. I mean, which is better? Man, I think this is a right brain, left brain thing. I think this is, again, one of these things where creative people think one way and then regimented people think another. Because I want to just go explore. Are you kidding me? I used to always get in trouble, and Kelly will back me up on this. I used to get, every time we do a radio event where it's like, yeah, we're taking a bunch of DJs, we're going to Iceland or Ireland or Mexico, wherever it was. All these trips we used to go on. They work overtime to try and, entertain you as the DJ that's being flown to, say, Iceland or whatever. They work overtime because they got a busload of DJs from New York, Chicago, LA, Dallas, New York, where they're all together. We got to do something for them. They're here in Iceland. Let's take them to this place. And then we'll rally and we'll all meet here in the lobby. And then we're going to go to this place. These tours that were always set up. 100%. I never went on any of them. I was absent from all of them. And Kelly used to get so mad at me. I had to spend 4 hours in the middle of nowhere in Iceland looking at prehistoric asteroid holes. And you're still asleep. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go on some bus tour. Hey, it never gets dark here. I was out till 6 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you, my Iceland experience so far is awesome, and I don't need no volcanoes, okay? I can see them out my window. I don't need to be any... She used to get so mad at me. I think Kelly used to get mad at me because she was the good girl. Okay, if we were supposed to go on this tour, she showed up on time, ready to go. And then I wasn't there. Her partner, I think she probably relied on me to be someone she could talk to, because it's better. Hey man, bunch of radio people, where are you from? I'm Clyde from Baltimore. Hey, that's Sally over there. She's from Denver. You know what I mean? It's all these radio people. So I'm Kelly probably had hoped that, there'd at least be me there to, kind of be her partner. It's easier when there's two of you, when you're meeting new people. I never went on that shit. So I've always been a wing it guy. I've always been a let's see what this day holds. Frank Smith says he was in D.C. and was just winging it, but he says he missed a lot. That's why I say you got to be an informed winger. You got to know what you want to see ahead of time. That's probably the reason you're going there. So you got to know what you want to see. But, you don't have to, when you show up there, if there's a tour of the place, if you want to go to the Smithsonian, sure, you can join a tour there, but it's not something you've been locked into. It's not something that we've got to be here at 4 o'clock or else we're not going to get seated. That's no vacation. I don't want that. Adam Rayna says prehistoric asteroid holes. This is new punk band. Yeah, that's not bad. Adam says he's also too structured. He likes to have a plan. Ross Rubio wants to wing it. Al wants to wing it. Yeah, I don't know. I really do think, because, I have been in a situation where I've been in relationships and been traveling with people who are the direct opposite of me. Kelly, Kelly for what? Kelly likes to have a plan. Kelly's very regimented. I'm let's just go with whatever happens and try to make the best of it. Which often means stuff isn't really great, come on, all of us have been, a smaller version of this dilemma happens on New Year's Eve every year, right? It's do we have plans or are we just going out? Now, in that situation, I think New Year's Eve is the exception to the rule. You don't want to wing it on New Year's Eve. And New Year's Eve that's just too crazy. All right, so it's split pretty much down the middle. That's the reason. This question that was asked, wing it or do you have an itinerary when you're on vacation? All right, here's a story I know nothing about, but I'm sure my son's very concerned about it. Because this is somebody my kid knows. Somebody who not only do I not know them, I don't even know how to pronounce this person's name has letters and numbers. What? I have no idea. Takashi 69. He's a rap guy, and he's famous. And my kid knows him, so I know he's famous. Tekashi 6ix9ine, he got jumped. He went to an LA Fitness in Florida last night, and he got jumped by a bunch of people. But here's the deal with him. Here's what I've learned about him. Tekashi 6ix9ine. Tekashi 6ix9ine was like in a gang. He was a gangbanger. He was involved in some stuff. Some bad stuff went down. He got arrested. He flipped on the gang. He told he worked for the FBI. I mean, a total snitch. All of that stuff. And then he became a big famous rapper. Huh? How does that work? How does that work? He's a rat. What happened to street cred and, the hip hop game and all that kind of stuff? He literally flipped on a bunch of high-ranking gangbanger dudes involved in some real heavy shit. He became a witness and testified against him to avoid jail time on his own. By the way, he's only like 15. No, I don't know. He's only like 20-something. I don't know. So anyway, this is his history. And last night, he was in a sauna at the LA Fitness in Florida when a bunch of dudes barged into the sauna and beat the shit out of him. Tekashi 6ix9ine. Beat the shit out of him. Let's see. Here, what's the headline? Okay, that's not going to work. Rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine brutally beaten inside Florida gym. Rainbow-haired rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine was brutally beaten by a group of men inside the bathroom of a Florida gym Tuesday. The 26-year-old musician and ex-con was rushed to the hospital after he was purportedly attacked inside the restroom of an LA Fitness in southern Florida. A video posted to Twitter shows two men towering over 6ix9ine as he lies on the bathroom floor trying to protect his head from the blows. The men yell at him to shut the F up as one kicks his stomach and the other punches his head, according to the footage. Now, here's what's interesting about the story that people are saying. So Tekashi 6ix9ine, because of that history of him turning rat on a bunch of gangbangers, he has security with him at all times. Everywhere he goes, he has security. So this one particular situation where he was in the sauna here at the LA Fitness last night, he did not have security with him. He did not have bodyguards with him. So that leads me to believe that this is an inside job. How does the one time he doesn't have security with him when he's known to have security with him at all times because of that shit? I mean, the record labels will put security around him. They've got an investment in this guy. Although, if history tells us anything, he dies, that could be good for album sales. So who knows? Who knows what their motives are? But Tekashi 6ix9ine has been jumped. Byron says that we should all get together and just beat all people with names similar to that. I can't say, look, I'm not against, in spirit, I support it. In implementation, I might have some problems with it. But in spirit, I support that way of thinking. Kelly Ripa is trending. Kelly Ripa is trending. Do you guys like Kelly Ripa? Who doesn't like Kelly Ripa? Kelly Ripa is just a doll. Kelly Ripa, big famous lady, Kelly Ripa. Everybody knows Kelly Ripa. Kelly Ripa, big famous lady. You know who's not big famous? Her husband, Mark Consuelo. Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelo have been married for 100 years. It seems like the whole time I've known who Kelly Ripa is, she's been talking about this husband of hers. Now here's the deal with them. They were both nobodies together. Kelly Ripa, by the way, remember Dance Party USA? Remember when Kelly was, I'm Kelly, every day after school? We'd run home from school. Some people liked Princess. Some people liked Kelly. I liked Kelly. We would run home from school. Man, I hope Kelly gets some camera time today. I'm Kelly, and I'm from Pittsburgh or wherever she's from. I don't know. I'm Kelly from Scranton. That's Kelly Ripa. And years later, she does nothing for 20 years in between, and then boom, it's Regis and Kelly, and it's hey, that's the girl from Dance Party. Still adorable. So she's married to Mark Consuelo. They were both soap opera actors. I think that's what they were. I think they were both soap opera actors. And she got her big break, Kelly Ripa. Boom, she's Kelly Ripa. Mark Consuelo still misses Mr. Kelly Ripa. Never really took off for him. So now Kelly Ripa's telling stories. They've been married long enough now. Apparently she's is this a book? What is this? Or is this a new... She's talking about how difficult it was despite the way she discussed her marriage. And I'm only talking about this not because I think that Kelly Ripa is important, but I think the subject matter of how we all are married, how we all do marriage, how we all practice marriage. There's some commonalities among all of us who've been married. And this is an interesting sort of situation between Kelly Ripa and her husband, Mark Consuelo. So back in the early days, when it first popped for Kelly Ripa, remember they're both just a couple of soap opera stars. That's great. That's fine. You know, a couple of soap opera stars, you can have a nice condo in New York. You know, you're not rich. You don't own a car or anything like that. You need other people to fly you out to the West Coast if you're going to audition for shit. But, you know, you're doing fine. You've got a daytime soap opera. You're making good money, but you're living in Manhattan and all that stuff. Okay, so they're fine. Then Kelly pops. Now she's Kelly Ripa live with Regis, and the whole world goes crazy for Kelly Ripa. At least the whole country does. We love her. Mark is still Mr. Soap Opera, guys. Kelly's now talking about how difficult that time was in their marriage because Mark was insanely jealous. Now, again, I say if you watch those shows, if you remember the early days of the Kelly Ripa, she used to just glow about her husband, Mark Consuelo, and how wonderful he is. It was almost like she was trying to promote him. And now she's talking about, you know, that was really just because I felt so guilty about how successful I was, and I was trying to get his name out there as much as possible. And then we'd go out somewhere and people would be all excited for me and he'd be a little bit jealous. Now, again, this goes back to the Key and Peele thing that we talked about earlier when I suggested that possibly Jordan Peele went off to be Alfred Hitchcock and Michael Keegan, the other guy. See, this is the problem. Jordan Peele goes off to be one thing and the other guy. And I said that you think he's jealous. And then Adam in the chat room said, well, stop trying to turn them into enemies or whatever he said. I said, no. You can be jealous for your partner. You can be jealous for success of somebody who, to your best understanding, did the exact same thing that you did in the exact same order and they just had better results. You can be jealous of that and you can still love that person. And that's kind of what Kelly Ripa is saying. She's not saying that like he was jealous and he was mean and it was awful. No, she's like it was very difficult for him because, first of all, every actor, every entertainer, everybody is a narcissist. They are. That's why they do it. So Mark Consuelo's ego was like getting crushed because all of a sudden, you know, his beautiful little wife, who everybody adores, is a major star. I don't have a problem with that. If you heard me yesterday talking about Brad Hall, you know, if I fall in love with somebody and you are talented and you are good at something, man, I want you to be as good and as successful as that as possible. See, because that takes the pressure off me. See, I don't have this whole thing. And maybe this again goes back to the whole idea that I was raised by a single mom. So I've never been threatened or been sort of a slave to this idea that the man is the one who's in charge of the house. I don't care if I meet somebody and I fall in love with you and you're talented and you're good at somebody. Go, baby, go. And I hope you're the same way with me. And should you pop first? A la Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelo? Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Brad Hall, the conversation from yesterday. Good for you, man. Good for you. So what can I do? I don't have to work anymore, right? And she'd be like, no, I'm making $10 million an episode. I don't think my husband has to work. Well, all right then. You know, and then I'm going to go back and do my stream. Anyway, yes, this is all a long way of me saying I need a rich woman so that I continue to do this. Just kidding. Back to the Future is trending. No, not kidding at all, actually. I would definitely date a rich woman. If there were two identical twins, you know, everything was the same, and one of them was rich, and one of them was just like, you know, worked in an office, well, of course I'd choose the rich one. I'll admit that. Better dinners. Back to the Future. Back to the Future is trending. Why is Back to the Future trending? Because it's going to be a Broadway musical. Yeah, they're turning Back to the Future into a Broadway musical. Again, this story here may in fact tie directly to the story from earlier where we talked about our IQs dropping. We've seen this, right? It's like Broadway is now like, you know, a Who album, Elton John songs, a Marvel movie, The Lion King. You know what I mean? It just seems like not Back to the Future, the musical, on Broadway, mind you, not off Broadway. This means it's got a place in the big leagues. There's big money behind it. I don't want to see, is it a musical? Wait a second, is it a musical? Oh, of course it's a musical. Of course it's a musical, because for some reason, fucking families, why are you doing this? Families, go start going seeing plays. I wish families would travel to New York to go see a play. Families are traveling to New York to see musicals. Why? I don't know. Not because it's singing and stuff. But stop it with the musicals. I love plays. Can we just do some plays? What was the last time there was a hit Broadway play? They're all musicals. Tired of the musicals. Hate musicals. That's part of the reason why I hate Broadway. I love plays. I love live theater. I love it. I know not necessarily like big time theater either, like small theater, like garage theater, like stuff like that. Oh my God. There is something so thrilling. First of all, the greatest theater experience in the world is at the Second City in Chicago. To go to a show at the Second City and to sit close enough to the stage where, I love this about all stage productions. I love to sit close enough so that you can hear their feet squeaking on the floor. You know, like they're so close that it's like you can hear the stomping. I'll say, Mr. So. You know, you're going, I don't know. I love that. I love the stomping. I love the liveness of it. I just think it's fun. So Broadway or America, I don't know, Broadway, our IQs are declining, and now we're making a Back to the Future musical because people can't sit through dialogue that isn't sung, apparently. Yesterday we talked about Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes were married. We talked about how Surrey Cruise, oh my God, so beautiful. By the way, I discovered another hysterical Nepo baby. Apparently, Sofia Coppola has a daughter who's 16 or 17 years old. Sofia Coppola married some musician for the band Phoenix. She married some dude from Phoenix. And they had a daughter, and that daughter's 17. And the daughter made a TikTok video yesterday. It was so funny. This kid is so funny. I mean, you look at this kid. This is Sofia Coppola and a dude from the band Phoenix's daughter. She's 17 years old. She's making a TikTok because she's been grounded and she wants to rat on her parents. So she made this TikTok about how it's so unfair that she's grounded. You know what she got grounded for? This kid is hysterical. She goes, hi, I'm just making this TikTok because I can't go outside because I'm grounded because apparently I'm not allowed to take my dad's credit card and charter a helicopter to Maryland to have dinner with my friend from camp, but okay. She was grounded, the daughter of Sofia Coppola in James Marr, something like that, from Phoenix. The daughter is grounded and pissed because her dad wouldn't let her steal his credit card, charter a helicopter, and fly in it from Manhattan to Baltimore in order to have lunch with a friend from camp. That's just the greatest grounding story I've ever heard. First of all, kudos to Sofia Coppola and her husband for not allowing their kid to just think that's okay. Because they didn't. They grounded her. I would also say that in this video that I found so enjoyable yesterday from Sofia Coppola's daughter, in this video, she's not acting like a privileged silver spoon. She's got her tongue firmly in cheek. She knows that it's absurd what she tried to do, and she's having fun with it. So if you have a chance to see that video, it's on my timeline somewhere. You can find it. But back to Tom Cruise and Katie and Surrey's going to college. So yesterday we told you about how Katie is off there looking at colleges with Surrey Cruise, and Tom ain't around. And I went hard. I bodied Tommy pretty good yesterday about his deficiencies as a parent. And look, it's not so much if he was like a junkie or, somebody had all kinds of mental problems or something like that, then you can understand why there's an estrangement. He's got other things going on. But no, Tom Cruise has a beautiful little girl out there and has had a beautiful girl out there. And he's Tom Cruise, right? He's not like, well, it's hard for me we live on different coasts. It's hard for me to get there. Dude, you can probably fly. You can get those Mission Impossible people to put a jack. You can get anywhere. He's Tom Cruise. hasn't seen Suri Cruise, his daughter, hasn't seen his daughter. How come we don't talk about this? How come this isn't, every time we line up, we talk about, Tom Cruise getting more big money, blah, blah. Tom Cruise is a weirdo. Good actor, though. I liked him in Jack Reacher. I really liked him in American Made. Don't get distracted. He's a fine actor. But as a human being, he is a man who who fathered. He's a man who fathered this beautiful little 17-year-old daughter that he hasn't laid eyes on in 10 years. Tom Cruise has been absent from Suri Cruise's life for 10 years. Why aren't more people repulsed by this? Why don't more people judge Tom Cruise for this? I mean, if you're going to judge a human being for actions, people are more interested in this weird ass, Scientology stuff. And maybe that's part of the issue here. In fact, I think it's a big part of the issue. He's pissed that Suri's not a Scientologist. So he's, she's your daughter, you lunatic. Don't tell me religion, theoretical religion, has Tom Cruise not having hugged his baby daughter in 10 years. But tell me again how great religion is. It's not a cult. Scientology's not a cult. You haven't seen your daughter. It's unbelievable. So here, we got more details on this. So I wanted to give you some details because yesterday I went hard on them. But today, there are follow-up stories about this whole thing. Inside Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' tug of love over Suri. Tug of love over Suri. It's not a tug of love. One person loves Suri. That's Katie Holmes. That's obvious. She bailed on her career so that she could just stay a mom. And yeah, she did little things. But don't be sleeping on Katie Holmes. She was a real actress for a while. Her career was, in a place where it could go up. She could have had a career had she kept working it, but she didn't. She got hooked up with Tom Cruise, the whole Scientology thing. In her most beautiful years, and then she had a baby, and then Tom Cruise went nuts, and she's like, okay, this baby's the most important thing. Don't say this is a tug of love, okay? One person loves this baby. The other one wants a little Scientology toy. All right, so here's what it says. On June 29th, 2012, Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes sensationally revealed that they were divorcing after 5 years of marriage. Their daughter, Suri, now 16, was only 5 years old at the time of the split, and Tom has been estranged from her since 2013, 1 year after he and Katie divorced. It's reported now that Suri has started applying to colleges with the help of her mother, but the teen's famous father, Tom, won't have a hand in helping her because the actor has no part in the child's life. Here, let's scroll through some of these pictures. The pictures are all good. Okay, or maybe we won't. Yep, all right. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Come on, people. Come on. I'm having an issue with the computer right now. Bear with me. All right, I'm sorry. There we go. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, let's look at some of these pictures. See what we get from any of these pictures. All right, so here you go. So what we're looking at here is mother and daughter, okay? That's Katie Holmes and a little Suri Cruise. What do you think she is there? She looks like she's maybe about, 10 years old there, maybe something like that. All right, there you go, Tom. This is about the last time he was with, look at how beautiful that little angel was. Look at him. He's like her, it's his little trophy. It's his little trophy, his little Scientology project trophy. Oh, I love this baby as long as I can fill its head with all kinds of noodled garbage. Look at him. There you go. Go look at him. There's a happy couple in Wonderful Times, Katie Holmes. Look at Tom Cruise's face, though. He's just so weird. He's always, Tom Cruise is a weird guy. There is a podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with Dak Shepard's podcast. It's a great one. What is it? Armchair analyst or something. Armchair expert. Okay. Go find in Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast his interview with Rob Lowe. It's like an hour and a half, whatever, of just Dax Shepard and Rob Lowe talking about Rob Lowe's career. Rob Lowe telling all kinds of stories, from everything, all of it, including the incident that got Rob Lowe in trouble. He talks about all of it. But some of the more interesting stuff that Rob Lowe talks about is being a very young, like a 17, 18-year-old actor in Hollywood at the time that he was there, and the people that he was with. It was unknown people. It was him. It was Tom Cruise. It was, Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, all of these people. Judd Nelson, right? All of these, Andrew McCarthy, all the Brat Packer types. And he's Patrick Swayze. So he's talking about on the Rumblefish. It was either Rumblefish or I don't know, what was the other S.E. Hinton movie that they did? Rumblefish and The Outsiders. It was either on The Outsiders or whatever. But Rob Lowe was talking about how this was basically when they weren't filming, they were all staying in a hotel in a rural place. There wasn't really a lot to do, and they were 17, 18-year-old boys from Hollywood hanging out. And Rob Lowe told stories about all the fun that they would have and all of this and all of that. And no, this guy was crazy, and Patrick Swayze was always doing stunts and blah, blah, blah. And then even Rob Lowe was like, man, but not Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was weird. Tom Cruise was the only one who had his own room, and it was because his everybody else had to double up, but Tom Cruise somehow, he was with a big agency, even though he wasn't famous yet. This was Rumblefish Outsiders. They were making Tom Cruise a star. And he tells them a whole bunch of stories about how Tom Cruise was as an unfamous actor on the climb. And Rob Lowe does it in a very diplomatic way, and Rob Lowe does it in a way. But if you're reading between the lines and you're listening to the stories, Tom Cruise was an asshole from the beginning. Tom Cruise would stab you in the back. Tom Cruise would do whatever. And anyway, I suggested if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's an interesting conversation between Dax Shepard and Rob Lowe, probably from about a year or two ago. All right, here's the happy couple here. What is this look? Look at Tom Cruise's look. Why is he always performing? Why is he always such a weird guy? Just be normal, Tom. Be normal. Look, the baby is bored already with your antics. Okay, so this picture I like. Here's what I like about this picture. Because in the dynamic of Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise, I like to imagine that Katie Holmes is pretty much keeping it real all the time. And Tom Cruise is just a big-ass phony, and it is never what it is, and only he deep inside his weirdness knows exactly what time it is. But whatever he's projecting is performative and deliberate. That's Tom Cruise. They just had a fight. Look at this picture. They just had a fight. Look at her. She's pissed. She's pissed, and she's going along with it. He's overcompensating. I'm Tom Cruise. Look at my smile. She wants to go home. Before this picture was taken, she's like, can we get out of here? And they had a big fight about something. They don't like each other. How the hell? Katie Holmes is so cool, and he is such a dork. What? All right, any other good pictures? There they are. There's mom and daughter. Oh, should we just click on this? What'll this get us? All right, Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise. She looks genuinely... So right here, this is probably... They're dating. It's early in their relationship. She's Katie Holmes. He's Tom Cruise, man. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a weird age difference and all that stuff, but he's Tom Cruise. She's like attracted to him because he's Tom Cruise. She's an actress. He's the most powerful actor. I mean, I can understand why she can be Svengali'd by him. And I also get his charm. In how when he decided to lay the charm on this little young 20-something actress, he probably bamboozled her. She was probably swept off her feet. And in a couple of years of marriage, she's like, this dude's a fucking nut. She was like, I'm out of here. That's what happens. But in the beginning, it was magical. And look at this. I'm thinking this is one of the magical times. I don't know who that is. That very well could be Katie. It looks like a... there's a marriage. What? They get married? They get married before the baby? I don't know what's going on there. We got that one. We got that. All right, these are all them. Anyway, like I said, I went a little hard on Tom Cruise yesterday, and then I realized I didn't really know the story. So then I went and got the story, and I'm like, yeah, no, he deserved it. He's a complete D-bag. Could not imagine. Man, I was away from my son when I was living in Chicago, and it was luckily technology allowed us to be able to Skype and do all that stuff. And man, that was so hard. I can't imagine Tom Cruise just telling you, "Yeah, I don't have a daughter anymore." What? The minute you held her for the very first time, you weren't like, "Well, I don't think I could go more than 24 hours without this ever again." You didn't have that moment? Like, that's what most parents have. Most parents, when they have their child, they put them in your arms, it's like, "Yeah, I'm going to stick around. This one's, Tom Cruise was just like, "Yeah, fuck it. She's fine. Whatever. She's with her mom. She's not a Scientologist, so she's garbage." It's your daughter, Tom. It's your daughter. You fucking weirdo. We do this all the time. This is what we do. We elevate and celebrate and glorify the fucking weirdest people. We always have. They're interesting. They're interesting because they're weird. That's what they are. Tom Cruise. Here's something fun I want to show you. This has nothing to do with nothing, but did you see this? This was going around this morning. I shared this on my Twitter page. I wanted to do it here. I wanted to just show you guys, ask you what you think. I think it's pretty cool. So this is a meme. Meme. I'm still not 100% sure. So this is a meme that's going around. And what it does is it posits the question, what if the Marvel movies were made in the 1970s instead of when they were made? What actors would play what roles in Marvel movies? So what this meme is showing us is in the top row left, because I see it's probably a little small for you there. Top row left, that's Harrison Ford as Captain America. Ooh, Al Pacino as the Winter Soldier. Gregory Hines as Falcon. Remember, these are 1970s actors. Isabella Adjani as the Scarlet Witch. Clint Eastwood as Hawkeye. John Ritter as Ant-Man. Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty good casting. If we're looking at how they cast the modern Ant-Man with Paul Rudd, who's equal parts comedic actor and leading man handsome, that is a really good cast. John Ritter as Ant-Man. Here's another one. Here's another great one. If the Marvel movies were made in the 70s, Burt Reynolds as Iron Man. 100%! That is so strong. Think of the way Robert Downey Jr. plays Iron Man, and then put the Bandit from Smokey and the Bandit in the Iron Man suit. Come on, man! That would be great! That would be awesome. Carl Weathers as War Machine. Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies plays War Machine in the 1970s Marvel universe. How about Faye Dunaway as Black Widow? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good casting. Here's also great casting. Great casting. Who's playing Vision in the 1970s Marvel Cinematic Universe? Vision played by Michael Caine. Totally. You can totally see that, right? Vision is Michael Caine. Black Panther. Here's another good one that I like. Black Panther. James Earl Jones gonna play Black Panther. Who else? Who else but James Earl Jones gonna play Black Panther? I mean, I suppose you could say Carl Weathers, but nah. Let's give it to James Earl Jones. He's Darth Vader. Can you imagine you go straight from being Darth Vader to being Black Panther? And Spider-Man. This is a good one. Spider-Man. Robbie Benson. Robbie Benson plays Spider-Man in the 1970s Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love this. I love this meme. I think this is so fun. This is right up my alley. First of all, Harrison Ford is Captain America. No-brainer. Right out of the box, that's a no-brainer. Then you're going to give me Burt Reynolds as Iron Man? That is freaking inspired. Burt Reynolds, again, all I need to say to sell it in the room is the Bandit from Smokey and the Bandit in the Iron Man costume. Sold. We're making sequel after sequel. That's a good one. Carl Weathers as War Machine I like. Michael Caine as Vision is great. James Earl Jones as Black Panther is great. Robbie Benson as Spider-Man is great. Ant-Man, John Ritter, great. Clint Eastwood, great. That's fun. And Faye Dunaway as Black Widow. I like that. The only one I don't love is the Scarlet Witch. Is Isabella Adjani as the Scarlet Witch. I don't love that one. Probably because I don't really know who Isabella Adjani is, right? Scarlet Witch. Who would make a good Scarlet Witch? Bernadette Peters! Bernadette Peters! Scarlet Witch! That's it. Bernadette Peters. I would make Bernadette Peters the Scarlet Witch. Yeah. Because we're going 70s. Who's the Scarlet Witch now? Oh, it's Elizabeth Olsen. Okay, Bernadette Peters wouldn't be a better Scarlet Witch than... Oh my God. Okay, sorry. We're going to go back. We're going to recast the Scarlet Witch. I don't know why. What fucking random recess of my brain did Bernadette Peters claw out of? Now I'm married to that idea? No, not Bernadette Peters. We're going to recast the Scarlet Witch. Instead of 1970s actress Isabella Adjani as the Scarlet Witch, ladies and gentlemen, Goldie Hawn as the Scarlet Witch. Goldie Hawn. Think about it. Think about Elizabeth Olsen. Goldie. Think about Goldie Hawn in the 1970s. Think about Elizabeth Olsen now. It's kind of the same type. That's all I'm saying. All right, let me see here. Let's go into the Twitter sphere. Let's see what's trending here as we wrap up today's show. See, look, Byron started the show 10 minutes late. I've already gone 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I ain't going anywhere. I ain't got nothing else to do. Maybe you guys do, but I don't. Actually, that's not true. I do. I've got quite a few things I got to do today. It's already 2:30. All right. Sorry. Cleveland Jets. What the hell are the Cleveland Jets? Why are the Cleveland Jets trending? Oh, is it because the Jets are signing a bunch of free agents from Cleveland? Okay, maybe that's it. East High School is trending. Oh, Jesus, something happening, something. Okay, so apparently there's a shooting at East High School in Denver. Breaking search is underway for a student who shot 2 staff members at Denver East High School. It's happening right now. Shooting at East High School in Denver. 2 staff members have been shot. 2 adult victims injured in shooting at Denver High School. Denver police said in a Twitter post that they are responding to a shooting at East High School in Denver, Colorado. So we will see. Let's see. What else? What else is trending as we... Moderna. I ain't going near no Moderna conversation. Vax me. Never talking about that stuff. Let me see here. No, nothing. Not a bunch of video game stuff is trending. Uganda. We talked about Uganda. Okay, Jack. Look, I can turn this off. If we were to end the show right now, this is what I would do anyway. So you're just going to watch me now. I'm going to read about Jackson Smith and Jigba because I happen to believe he's the best receiver in the country and should be the number 1 taken. However, why is he trending? Jackson Smith and Jigba officially ran between a 4.48 and a 4.52 in the 40-yard dash at Ohio State's Pro Day today. Let's see, for perspective, Stephon Diggs ran a 4.46. Amon-Ra St. Brown ran a 4.51. DeAndre Hopkins a 4.57. CeeDee Lamb ran a 4.50. So he's at 4.58. So there you go, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm hoping. I don't know. Okay, so all right, ready? You can go away if you want. I'm just filling time. The show's over. Show's basically, tip the show if you can, by the way. We do this for our tips. We try and, fuel this show and the Pugs and Parker show with tips. That's how we do it. until we can get some of these other things we're working on sponsored. Anyway, help out if you can. Venmo, Cash App, it's appreciated. So my Bears have the number 9 pick in the draft, right? So I'm thinking, what are we going to do? And everybody's like, take an offensive lineman, take the best offensive lineman. I'm like, that's really good, but really, if there's a talent there, I want Bijan. I want the running back from Texas at 9. I would take him in a heartbeat. Oh my God. You add that guy to that offense that's being assembled right now. Oh my God. I want him. But I also want Jackson Smith and Jigba. I also want him. I also want this wide receiver who can run better routes than anybody in the NFL right now, with the possible exception of a couple. All right, that's enough. That's enough about me going on about my number 9 pick in the draft. Very serious about it. I will between now and the time I go to bed, I will probably read minimum 10 mock drafts just to see what everybody's saying about, who's going to fall where, what kind of shit's going to happen. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with mock drafts. I'm obsessed. I think my Bears at 9 should trade down again. Would love that. Would love to get another pick and a trade down, maybe somewhere between 33 and 50. I'd love to get another one there. We'll trade down. I'd trade down to about 20 or so if we can get in more picks. Oh, pick whore. More picks. When your team sucks, you're like, more picks. That's all you want. Football. Look, don't you tell me football ain't the biggest sport in the world. First of all, the American baseball players got their ass handed to them by the Japanese guys, so that ship has sailed. We ain't good at baseball anymore. Football's all we got left. And the offseason of football, this season right now, free agency season, the season leading up to the draft, all of that stuff, I find it, and this is a new phenomenon for me. This is only within the last year or two. I find this season every bit as rewarding as the regular season. Now, to put that into context, I am a Chicago Bear fan, and we had the worst record in football. So maybe now you can understand why I find this season every bit as enjoyable as that one. But we are in what they lovingly refer to as the lying season of football. When the NFL Network was created 15 years ago or something like that, when they were created, everybody's like, but football's only on a couple months of the year. That's what they got to do the rest of the time. I'm like, they must got a plan. And they did have a plan, because football is a year-round conversation now. NFL football is a year-round conversation. There is no downtime. Maybe there's not even the week after the Super Bowl. No. Actually, that's when it ramps up. You would think that maybe right after the Super Bowl it'll be over. But no. That's when, it's all what coach is going where and who's going to be franchise tagged. And there's all kinds of, man, the NFL's really done a good job. I'll say this right now. I will say this right now. There is not another country on God's green earth that can beat the United States in a 4-quarter game of football. Not a team. Baseball, fine, whatever. That ship has sailed. Japan is better than us at baseball now. We just have to deal with that. Not football. Come on, Team France. We'll play you in some good old American football. Come on, Team Japan. How about we strap on helmets and play football now? And then they'd respond with, okay, but then we're going to do the ninja thing next. Okay, what? Never mind. All right. There ain't nothing else going on. That's it. We're pretty much done, folks. All right, join us tonight at 9 o'clock. The hope is that we're going to have Jasmine on. That is not official. That is no pressure on Jasmine. Jasmine from the Jagger Show. The idea, last night, at least in the chat room, she committed, so we didn't bother trying to book anybody. We're just going to circle back and see if we can get her tonight. Dream to be the best. Adam says Cowboys still have... so maybe Jasmine tonight. We'll see. I'll let you know. Adam says, I was wrong. Hold on. Wait a second. If Adam Reyna starts a sentence out with, I was wrong, I was wrong that the Bears wouldn't get a player in a pick swap, but they basically traded him for the additional first they missed out on. DJ Moore is worth a first-round pick. Yeah, I think so. That's fine. Reasonable men can disagree. Ninjas are Japanese too. Oh, I know, because you did the samurai thing, because you corrected me. See, Mr. Corrector Correct All? You corrected me. Ninjas are Japanese. I said we're going to do ninja next. The best Japanese ninja against the best ninja from Iowa. We'll see how that plays out. And Adam corrected me. He's like, you mean samurai? I'm like, no, I meant ninja. I meant ninja. Road I'll travel, far from the comfort. Confidence to love. So, here's a little something I could talk to you about. So I think I mentioned a couple of days ago that I've just fell into something. Started watching something on Hulu. I started watching this docu-series about Chippendales. I like true crime series, right? I love true crime shit. I can't get enough of it. I know, it's my weakness. So I'm watching this true crime thing on Chippendales. And I don't know nothing about Chippendales. I'm not a woman. I'm not a gay male, you know. I know they're a thing. They're a bunch of buff dudes, male strippers, bow ties, right? That's it. They were like the most famous male strippers. I never really gave much of a thought to it. I don't know, like, is it, you know, I don't know what it looks like, a Chippendale show. I mean, I know the guy, macho, you know, the guys come out. I know all that. But so I started watching this documentary about this, how crazy the Chippendales company was. It's on Hulu. It's a documentary. It's like a 4-part series. There's murders and there's all these things, and I was hooked from the beginning. Sex, drugs, murder, insanity, psychopaths, sociopaths. It's just crazy. 1980s. It's just crazy. And it was really good. I was really getting into it. So it ends, and I'm like, well, that was really interesting. And then it jumps right to, it's like Hulu's like, would you like to watch? Apparently, there's an entire series on Hulu, a dramatic series starring Kumail Nanjiani. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say his name. That Kumail Nanjiani, you know the guy, you know the world's most famous English guy or Indian guy who's from America. Not the most famous Indian guy, because that would probably be Modi. And then there's a bunch of other more famous Indian actors, but they're all Bollywood. But you know, like the most famous Indian American actor guy. That guy, you see him everywhere. Kumail Nanjiani, he's awesome. Nanjiani, he's awesome. Whatever, I don't know. But he's got this show. He's got a show on Hulu that is actually like a 10-episode series exactly about the documentary that I just watched, a 4-part documentary. So it's like I have just fallen butt first into this whole thing, which I didn't even think existed. So I watched the documentary, and I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. That was a great story. And now you're telling me I have an opportunity to watch people portray all the real people I just watched in the documentary. I am in. I don't know what it's called. It's called like Chippendales. I don't know, something on Hulu. I watched the first episode last night, and then I fell asleep. But it's good. It's good. It's good. So that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm getting into these days. Bunch of series about male strippers. It's not about male strippers. I mean, that's set against the backdrop of male stripping. Here's the other thing. They never got naked. What is it? Like, strippers, like, if I'm a dude to go to a strip club, I expect that they're going to get naked. The Chippendales never got naked. I mean, stuff was going on at the club. But as far as, like, their thing on stage, they never, like, you know, they get up and they dance. They never got naked. You know, they never, like, showed it. You know, they never went full Magilla, if you know what I mean. Women do. Women strippers do. What was that about? I don't know. Okay, I also recognize that doesn't look good, that while watching these series about male strip clubs, that one of my observations was, I'd love to see some dick. I know that doesn't look good either. That's not really how it went down, though. I just noticed. I'm like, how come these guys don't get naked? Whitney, you'll love it. It's really good. Actually, you know what though? Here's what I would tell you. I would suggest, and again, I fell into this ass first. I would suggest watch the documentary series first. It's a true crime thing. It's like 4 episodes. They're like 40 minutes each. You can get through them. Watch the true, get the actual story of how the story played out in the news. See all the, then just jump. Still